Howdy-do, everybody. I think we got this going. I think we are working. Of course, my Instagram live video post is not working, but we will make that work as much as possible. TUCKREMLIN CARLSON. What a beautiful name. All right, everybody. We are going to get this show started in just a minute or so, but man, we had so many little things happen right before the show, and we are rushing around trying to fix them. Like crazy chickens who are trying to put their head back on. But we're glad you're here, everybody. It really means a lot to us. Oh, great. I gotta change that stream key. Oh, my goodness. Come on. All right. Who do we got here? We got people? Anybody here? Who's here? Somebody here. Come on down. Come on down, everybody. I want to remind everybody, we do have the text message alert system. We are always battling the big tech platforms to try and get the show, I don't know, to you. And they really don't want us to do it. So it's kind of up to each and every one of us to get hooked in all the different ways that we can. Join the newsletter by going to canarycry.party. Canarycry.party. You'll see a sign up for the newsletter. You'll find links to the Discord channel. You'll find all sorts of stuff that you'll find helpful when it comes to catching the show. You can also sign up for the text message alert system. That's right, you can receive a text message straight to your phone when we go live. It's a very convenient way to not miss a show. To get on that, text the word Canary. That's right, listen to the words I'm saying. You text the word Canary to 877-740-3226, and you'll get put on the list. That's 877-740-3226. Text Canary, you'll get on the list. It's awesome. You can even send me messages back when you receive something. I will not be able to hold a conversation with you because it's very expensive. But let's see. Last time somebody said hi. Hi. Somebody said awesome diversion. Thanks. I don't know what you're talking about, but I appreciate it. Let's see. Somebody said woohoo. There's another woohoo. A lot of woohoos. Okay. Somebody here from 509 area code says, you guys are the best. Thanks. See, folks, you can do it. All right. Well, we're going to get this show started. Take a second, press that like and subscribe button early. It really helps us out. Hit it now. You can always take it away later. You can always withhold your likes later, but give it to us now. So Rumble especially knows to tell people to watch the show. Okay, let's get going.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is February 5th, 2024. This is episode 712, live to tape, episode 712. And today, TUCKREMLIN CARLSON. Woo! Signing on from off the grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy Basil, and you are not crazy. Oh, jeez. I'm not hearing anything from Gonz.
Name is Gonz. Well, the director of the Aged Films, your favorite Asian provocateur, live to tape from rainy Kami to bring you the best news, which is... Oh, okay. The lag must be just ridiculous because you started talking well after
I'm thinking
stopped
that the
talking.
lag
I'm
is
just
ridiculous.
testing out. I think the lag is really bad.
Yes.
I'm just going to sit here and wait until you respond.
Yes, this might have to be a do-over. Okay. I'm wondering if it is the double streaming channel thing. Folks, we tried to do something new, which was stream in portrait mode to Instagram, which possibly is entirely destroying the entire system. There's no way of knowing if this is going on my side or on Gonza's side, but I think the only choice we have, Gonz, and I will wait patiently for the lag to catch you up to what I'm saying, I might have to end that Instagram stream for a second. Don't worry, Instagrammers, we'll bring it back.
End it.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay, here I go. I'm ending that room. That was horrible. End stream. Be right back, Instagram.
Okay. Does that improve anything? I don't know if it improves anything.
It sounds like it's improved to me.
Yeah, you're responding right away.
Okay, you're responding closer to right away. Yeah, Instagram is like fully, wow, sorry about that, everybody. See, this is what happens. We're like, this is going to be weird. This is going to be sketchy. We don't know if this is going to work. Let's go. And of course, it doesn't work. And this is part of the fun of Value for Value podcasting, folks. We're not here polishing it up. We're not trying to stay brand friendly before bringing you the show. This is human communication, no corporations involved here. But okay, Gons, I'll fix this as we go here.
Okay.
So,
well, I'm here live to tape from rainy, cold California to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events and today's emergent phenomena. It's all going south. All going south, Basil. Metaphorically and literally.
As is evident by the beginning of this show.
Yes, it starts.
Although I don't know.
Downward.
Yeah, we started pretty far south, so who knows? Maybe we got the only place we got to go is up. I want to give a shout out to the people watching on Rumble, people who are finding us on Rumble, people who are watching on Rumble. Of course, we see you YouTubers. We appreciate you too, but the Rumble channel has been getting a steady increase in attention, and we appreciate that very much. Thank you to the Rumblers who are liking the video, interacting with the video, sharing the link. That all tells the people at Rumble that we are worth helping out once in a while. They're going to put us on the featured. Come on, you need us on the featured. If the beginning of this podcast is not your clue, Rumble, to put us front and center, I don't know what you guys are looking for, man. But anywho, that's all I have to say about that.
Okay. Well, should we disclaim?
Yeah. Let's just officially say to everybody, hey, sorry, having some tech gremlins. We've been fighting tech gremlins since the beginning of our career, and it just keeps happening. And I don't know, barring dropping like $6,000 on a new computer for Gons, I'm not exactly sure. We've tried our best as a value for value, good stewards of the finances that our producers give to us to try to keep the system together, kind of piece by piece, but it just keeps falling apart, Gons.
Well, the computer that was having problems last Friday, which is why our Canary Cry Radio episode didn't publish till Saturday, as well as right before we went live today. We're about a half hour late because I had to reboot the computer, and it takes 15 minutes for it to reboot.
Just to turn the computer on.
Just to turn it on. It's a 2013 Mac Pro trash can, which was actually a gift. It was donated to the ministry, the whole process. So I'm grateful for the machine. It has just simply been 11 years since.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. I mean,
Yeah,
I think that's a testament to just how seriously we take, stewarding finances as well as we
squeezing
can.
out every
Penny
ounce
pinching.
Yeah.
Band-aiding everything together. It is unheard of, Gons, for especially the trash can Mac Pro, which turned out to be a notoriously unreliable machine.
Yeah,
for you to have kept it going this long is very impressive. So in the spirit maybe of giving people sort of direct opportunities to affect where their finances go, I might just make a button that says Gonza's computer button, and people can jump in there if they'd like.
Can Jerome Powell just print some money on our behalf so we can buy some gear?
I'm really sure helpful. He can. Yeah, I'm sure he'd be.
They got the money
he'd be
printer
happy
over
to
there,
do
man.
that. Yeah. Anyways, let's give that disclaimer.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up.
YouTube. That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys.
I'm covered in pickle juice. I'm covered in pickle juice. Oh, I got napkins. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, for those who are just listening, you missed quite the melodrama of Gon spilling pickle juice all over the place. And we wonder where do these problems come from? Apparently some of it is at least pickle juice.
It is, yes.
All right. I'm trying to start the new Instagram video. We'll see if it works. Okay, let me give you a rundown, Guns.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
All right, folks, we're starting out as the namesake of this episode provides Russia, and Tucker. That's right, Tucker Carlson making waves today as he is spotted in the wild in Moscow. We'll get all the details on that. And then, of course, a little bit of footage from the top of Mount Hermon there for those biblical prophecy geeks. We're checking in with Flippy, bringing the elevator to you. Then in the broader part of the show here, we'll be checking up on the trucker convoy, the border bill that is in process right now. So much drama, but of course a nice Trojan horse to those Republicans thinking that they are making any headway. Gons is going to bring us some political news, interesting news from El Salvador's cool dictator. We're going to want to stay deprived of the coolest dictator in the country as far as the mainstream media is concerned. And then Brazil special. Brazil. Lots of Brazil news over the past year but we have a friend of the show appearing down in Brazil, and of course that's Marina Abramovich, the witch you love to hate. And then at the end of the show, of course, ice and fire. Antarctic volcanoes may hold the clues to life on Mars, or maybe... No. Yeah, okay, I'm cleaning it up. Yeah, no, good. Life on Mars, that's it. Okay, let's get to the lead stories, Guns. Live editing, folks.
Yeah, good decisions. That's what we're made of, good decisions.
It's a family-friendly show.
And you shall hear wars and rumors of wars.
Russia.
Fight for Ukraine. New world order.
All right, so the footage is in. Tucker Carlson's leaving the hotel, or this is a few hours ago now. Gonna meet with Putin, apparently.
Step-by-step.
Yeah.
The drama, the live drama of Tucker Carlson going to allegedly interview Vladimir Putin in Russia has been really one of the most engaging things that has ever happened on social media, because it starts with leaks. Hey, Carlson might be going to Russia. He might be going to Russia. Then it's like, here's a video. We spotted him eating breakfast in a hotel in Russia. Oh my gosh. Oh, here's a reporter going up to Tucker in Russia. Oh no. Here's Tucker getting into a black van going to meet Putin in Russia. Whoa! And then we're left to wonder what actually happened. Thank you, X. Thank you, X, for this experience today. So those who are watching, you are seeing the video of Tucker in an underground garage. Allegedly Tucker in a very sketchy-looking underground garage in Russia, being hustled into a black van. Now we're following the van as somebody's driving the van, and Tucker's allegedly in there. It's like an edit. They're putting together like a spy Bond like edit. And then they allegedly shows the van pulling into the Kremlin. And then later on, I don't know if you have any in-betweens you want to talk about here, guys.
I don't. I just have the articles, but yeah.
Yeah, and then later on, there was a video of the same black van, possibly carrying Tucker Carlson, leaving the Kremlin, leaving us to imagine what happened in the hours in between. And as of the beginning of this show, I do not believe that there was any official word. However, in the context of what we've been talking about, but especially like last episode and stuff, the alternative media industrial complex. This might be, it was a big deal when in the beginning of the 2000s, when CNN went to a 24-hour news cycle to publicly air war. It was our first live on-air war unfolding in the news. And that was for, the mix of the legacy news media and the military-industrial complex. It was a real team up there.
The famous Anderson Cooper Nose Disappearance Act, things like that. There's a lot of green screen footage happening, seemed like.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, I remember the first clips that CNN, anyways, it doesn't matter. The nighttime storming of Baghdad or something. You got night vision and you see the tracer rounds and it's this whole big thing. But I think we've turned a corner. This is sort of a similar experience to me, but it's the alternative media industrial complex,
right?
Where the mainstream media, it had become clear by pretty much everybody you could not trust them, and so what developed was not necessarily independent media, folks like podcasters and bloggers and sort of the underground fringes of online reporting or whatever, but the alternative media industrial complex, which is, for instance, and again, these are not hard rules, but Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, these types, the ones. But it was an interesting sort of play-by-play, minute-by-minute drama unfolding on social media about allegedly Tucker going to meet Putin, interview Putin, everybody's thoughts about it, what this meant for the future of our country, and oh my gosh, guns. It's World War III, so why not?
Of course. It's sort of the fifth generation version of a boots on the ground, where it's not just behind the keyboard. This is actually out in the wild, and then tracking it. And it is interesting that there's the eyes of the world, so to speak, or I guess the populist world is on this because, well, we'll see. We'll see in a minute here. But I have an article this is mirrored on Yahoo News, and it's the news voice of Ukraine. And this has to be, at the very least, intelligence hub type of outlet here.
Yeah.
The headline is Pro-Kremlin host Tucker Carlson appears in Moscow. I thought about doing this in the Zelensky voice, but I won't. I'll save everybody grief. Former Fox News Channel host Tucker Carlson and Russian mouthpiece has arrived in Moscow, according to a photo published by the propaganda Telegram news channel MASH on February 3rd. He has reportedly been in the Russian capital since February 1st, when he was spotted at the Istanbul airport while he was boarding a flight to Moscow. MASH published a photo of the American propagandist allegedly enjoying a visit to the Bolshoi Theater. Bolshoi Theater. It is unknown whether Carlson paid for the trip himself or with whom in the Russian government he has been in contact with. And it's got some pictures of him in like a mezzanine of a nice theater. Known for promoting conspiracies, Carlson left Fox News in disgrace in April 2023, after which he launched his own show on X, Twitter, where he promotes anti-balding treatments.
Why?
They're kind of doing our shtick, but it's sort of the propaganda version of it. Like see, look at him, he's selling anti-balding treatments.
It's incredible. So this is the one from the New Voice of Ukraine.
Yes.
That's the one. Okay,
yes.
So this is the Ukrainian media industrial complex,
right?
It's been incredible to see. Now, remember, all media in Ukraine is state media. This is state media created specifically by the state propagandists in Ukraine, which apparently they are very afraid of Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, known for promoting conspiracies, Carlson left, where he promotes anti-balding treatments, flirts with right-wing grifters, and spreads racially tinged disinformation about quote-unquote foreign DNA entering Americans' blood via COVID vaccines.
I mean,
I don't know why it's racially. How is it racially tinged? What does the vaccine have to do with race? Okay, anyway.
That's a really good
I guess there was
point.
some stuff about that, but not in the way they're framing it. Carlson has also repeatedly and knowingly spread lies and Russian propaganda, and has openly supported Russia's genocidal war against Ukraine. For example, Carlson accused, offering no evidence, Ukraine of bombing the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant, says that the Ukrainian government is oppressing Christians, and denies that Ukraine is a democracy. Carlson has previously said that his is, quote, rooting for, end quote, Putin and for Russia. Carlson said September 2023 that he wanted to, quote-unquote, interview Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, but the U.S. government allegedly prevented him from doing so. Former U.S. President Donald Trump, whom Carlson fervently supports, said that if he won the election, he would consider electing Carlson as his vice president. Trump is also known for calling Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, quote, a very smart person, end quote, end of article.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. What an incredible connection, collection of absolute...
It's just like zingers, after zinger. It's just like, boom,
it really is incredible. It doesn't even really need to be
addressed. It's like a combo. But... Yeah. Okay, so I have a specific part highlighted, which is about the Carlson had previously said that his is rooting for Putin and for Russia, and that in September he said he wanted to interview Putin, but the U.S. government allegedly prevented him from doing so. So this is the Ukrainian outlet. Obviously, this is what they're being fed over there. Now, in the United States, we have Business Insider, which I don't know if you noticed, Basil, but they have a new bold header. They changed the way they have Business Insider written. It's like in bold font. I forget the name of the font here. But anyway, it's just they're bolder now, apparently. And their headline is, Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene defends the prospect of Tucker Carlson interviewing Putin amid rumors he's in Moscow. So they frame it, obviously, in the political thing here. And this, I think, is telling about the role of Christian nationalism in the United States.
So you see, I also call myself a Christian nationalist. And that's not a bad word.
Wash your mouth out with soap.
Your dirty mouth needs a bath.
And they have all the same talking points here, except they add the layer of MTG, and the bullet points being, MTG defended the idea of Tucker interviewing Putin. Russian Telegram channel said former Fox News host arrived in Moscow. Carlson has been a defender of Putin and has echoed Kremlin talking points. And that's what I wanted to point out here. In a sentence, if you scroll down, Carlson, who has defended Putin and echoed Kremlin talking points, said last year that he had previously tried to interview the Russian leader, but that the U.S. government had stopped him. So what's funny is that talking point, this talking point right here that they're pointing out, that Carlson tried to interview Putin, or said he wanted to interview Putin before, or tried to, but the U.S. government stopped him. That talking point also appeared on that last article in Ukraine, the Ukraine, whatever it's called. What is it? The
Voice of Ukraine.
Voice of Ukraine. Yeah, same thing, saying that, he roots for Putin, and then he tried to interview Putin, but the U.S. government said no. That's a talking point when two articles share the exact same point.
Well,
so
here,
it's just hilarious.
And this is perfect because we know that Business Insider has intelligence connections. We've uncovered that years ago. I have up the Wikipedia, so of course written by the CIA, the Wikipedia for the new Voice of Ukraine. Listen to this. See if any of these dates, inspire any thoughts. The new Voice of Ukraine, or simply as the new voice, is a Ukrainian English and Russian language newspaper based in Ukraine that was founded in 2014 to offer unbiased, unaffiliated, independent reporting on issues regarding Ukraine. So I don't know, for somebody who may not have, or maybe if you need a review, 2014 was the year. That's when it all started. Victoria Nuland went there, passed out cookies. The U.S. facilitated basically a coup down there in Ukraine, kicked out the old leader, put in our own leader.
That was Biden. Wasn't that Biden's?
Yep. Around the same time, when Biden withheld funding with Ukraine to defend his son, the investigation of his son's company, is a whole thing. 2014 was when Ukraine got taken over by the U.S. So, and we know about the Voice of America. Voice of America is the official propaganda arm of U.S. intelligence that's found all over the world. Voice of America, explicit propaganda for the U.S. government. And I think it's interesting, the new Voice of Ukraine happened to pop up the year that the U.S., the CIA came in and took over Ukraine. Yeah. And, claiming the unbiased, unaffiliated, independent reporting on the issues, even as we know that all media in Ukraine is state-run media. So it's state-run.
Did Wikipedia really say independent in there?
Says right there. Offer unbiased and unaffiliated, independent reporting on... Unaffiliated. It's state media, but it's not affiliated with anything.
Well, on their About Us page, in the English version of nv.ua, they say that they're proud of the joint projects it has completed or that are ongoing with leading global media, including The Economist, The New York Times, BBC, and Deutsche Welle. So super independent and unbiased.
I mean, that's a great collection of affiliations. Yeah, unaffiliated, except for we're affiliated with The Economist, the straight up Illuminati magazine, the New York Times, nothing more needs to be said, BBC, official state media of
UK, England.
Yeah, the UK. What was that last one you said?
Deutsche Welle.
I don't know much about it. I'm surprised they didn't just say Voice of America in there as well. Yeah. So there you go. This is the messaging straight from the U.S. government, is all this nasty stuff about Tucker. And boy, oh boy, is it having an effect on people's brains. Now, part of this whole story was Tucker revealing that he had his Signal messaging app accessed by the U.S. government. Right. This is a big part of it. He's talking about how he was talking on Signal to supposedly somebody over there in Russia, and he was approached by somebody in the U.S. government saying, "Hey, we know who you're talking to. We know what your plan is. We know you're thinking about going over there." And he does the allegedly,
whole thing. I haven't even told my wife that whole thing.
Yes. He's like, I didn't tell my son. I didn't tell my wife. I told nobody. How did you know about this? And obviously they had hacked his Signal messenger, which, it's been a lot of talk about whether Signal can be hacked or not. And who knows how they got in. But, you got to expect they're going to get in everywhere at some point. But then what's very suspicious, very weird, is how they stopped him before. Mm-hmm. He did not go. He was stopped. The government made it happen. How is he possibly able to do it now? And this was what brings up the suspicion of the alternative media industrial complex. Yeah. The idea is, if I were the U.S. government, if I were the CIA, and the entire population of the world had lost trust in the mainstream media, I would find a few talented, popular, alternative media people and do whatever it takes to sort of influence them in what they do. And it's only really worth putting the energy into the biggest ones, like Tucker, like Alex Jones, and all these guys. We are not the first ones to have some suspicion of the whole operation. Lots of people have been very suspicious of both of these fellows for quite some time. But the question remains, why would they let him do this now? So if there must be some sort of establishment deep state, blessing for him to be able to do this, unless
they gave him a green flag.
Yeah, unless his plane mysteriously crashes on the way back or something.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, it would be so easy to control. I mean, just the madness of the rumors, the videos, tracking his every position. For all we know, it could have been the CIA themselves following him around in Moscow, videotaping him from hotel to van to, that both the KGB, or whatever their new version of the KGB is, and the CIA are following Tucker. He's being tailed no matter what. I mean, that's for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
But it almost seems like it could be part of the intel operation to be the ones leaking the sort of play-by-play. I would say it's suspicious, but it's much more than suspicious. It's almost guaranteed.
To me, just my gut feeling is that because the tides have turned so much culturally here, that they're allowing this to happen because the old boat is sinking, kind of thing. It's like it is sinking. It's been sinking for a while, but now we have to act, because if we don't, then we're literally going to sink into the ocean, type of thing. So they're jumping onto a ship that maybe ideologically not super aligned. However, they have the attention of Americans. They have the sentiment working for them. And so might as well let them do things so that it exposes the old ship even more. And then, if you hedge it right.
These metaphors are going pretty deep, man. You might just need to tell me.
This is a sinking boat, old system, new, I don't know.
Oh, it's total co-opting is what it is.
Right.
I think that this whole thing, unfortunately, because, I like to try to be optimistic. I like to think that, real progress and change is happening. And I fluctuate back and forth between optimism and realism because I like to think that alt media could stay integrous and Tucker could do this thing without, some deep state plan being at least sort of worked through him, if not, being blatantly paid and co-opted. It's a whole thing. But anywho, I don't know. But the fun part is you can observe what's going on, holding both possibilities in your brain. And that's what I have to do. I have to hold both possibilities because honestly, it's like Schrodinger's cat. We really don't know until we know.
Yeah. The thing that I find not telling, but just the part of this whole thing is the rise of X journalism, if you will. With you got the community notes on stuff. You can't necessarily provide wrong information in certain contexts, certain places when it comes to certain topics. So I don't know. It does feel would not be surprised. It's a spectrum too, right? When you talk about the alternative media into independent media, it's not like black and white. It's a spectrum. There's economics involved and everything else. But you had found some posters on X that were talking about.
Yes.
Sentiment here.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. You're taking a look at it's just the fact that it took over all the biggest. One of these examples is, you look at, I want to start with the Mario Nawal
Yeah,
thing.
go for it.
Yeah, Mario Nawal, huge person.
Nawfal.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how it's pronounced. But, he's got a bajillion followers. He gets a bajillion hits on all those things. He's most certainly making the majority of his income. I don't know anything about the guy, but he's getting paid a lot of money from his exes. But, he has this post here, Russian flag, American flag, calls to bar Tucker from returning after Putin interview. They're going to Edward Snowden him and trap him in Russia. I mean, wouldn't that just be the perfect thing, not letting Tucker back into the country after he goes? It says here, Tucker's rumored interview with Putin is causing alarm amongst some in the U.S. with the ex-chief of staff to Vice President Quayle, calling for him to be...
Steve Quayle in on this?
Who was Quayle vice president to? That is such an obscure poll. Will you look that up real quick? Vice President Quayle, was that the first Bush or was that Clinton maybe? I don't know.
Dan Quayle?
Vice President Quayle.
Vice President Quayle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan Quayle.
Yeah.
Former vice president. It was 92 looks like. So this was
would have been first Bush or Clinton. Clinton was 96.
No, Clinton
he was 92 too. He did 2 terms.
Oh, maybe it was 92.
Anyways,
George Bush.
George Bush. Okay. Ex-chief of staff of George Bush Sr., Senior's Vice President Quayle, calling for him to be barred from returning. Bill Kristol says, quote, perhaps we need a total and complete shutdown of Tucker Carlson re-entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what's going on. And another post here. Russian flag, Ukrainian flag, Zelensky's PO'd over Putin's planned interview with Tucker. The Ukrainian government has reportedly condemned. Yeah, well, we read the new voice of Ukraine. They reportedly condemned Tucker Carlson for the planned interview with Putin. Is Tucker really interviewing Putin? Are the rumors true? And this was, I don't know, not that
by the
long
way,
ago.
Just to point out, I was going to mention this earlier, but this Mario Naufal guy, every time he posts, never posts links. He just writes source and then outlet and then like a picture, like a screenshot or something.
Yeah, he's some sort of expert tweeter. Like the way he does things very strangely, but it's all to create a feedback loop to his own posts.
Yeah.
So when he has he quote tweets his own post and puts a new piece of news, and then you can like follow this rabbit hole of retweets he does that just gives more and more of his stuff. It's like this circular view trick. It's really interesting. But anyways, this is not the only guy. RFK chimed in. Okay, what we gotta know what RFK says.
Yeah, RFK posted, the legacy media is in shambles because we've caught on to their lies and propaganda. Tucker Carlson has every right to interview Putin. We need more transparency instead of less. It used to be understood journalists would interview world leaders, even those with whom we were at war. So, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes a point. I don't, there's a lot of questions swirling around RFK as well, but he makes a point. And, it's this idea that they want to bar him from re-entering the United States. I mean, that's fascism. That is...
It's fascism.
That's the thing that everybody wants to avoid, allegedly.
Yeah. And just as a sort of rabbit trail as we go from one topic to the other, RFK Jr., I'm not on his email list, his campaign email list, but apparently Greg over at Higher Side Chats, it's one of these sort of truther type of podcasts. I don't think he's a Christian. He's kind of new agey.
We've had some connections with that fella before. I kind of forget what it was.
I emailed him a couple times and said like, hey, would love to do your show or something. This is years ago. And he was like, not into the Christian thing. So I was like, okay.
Okay.
But anyway, he basically gave a screenshot of an email he got from the RFK Jr. email list campaign, and at the top in a red banner it says, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has promised to disclose what the government knows. Kennedy, 24. Then it says, Dear Greg, non-human aircrafts, non-human life forms, reverse engineering by the Department of Defense and federal contractors, Roswell. So he's literally, I didn't realize he was leaning in that hard to all the fringy stuff as part of his whole presidential campaign, which makes part of his stance on Israel very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Trump did the same thing. Who knows?
Did he go that hard into non-human aircraft, non-human life forms?
It was a different time. There was
a different type, but I guess
that wasn't even part
the
of the
flavor
conversation. It wasn't part of the conversation yet. But he did say he would tell us what he could find out about UFOs. He never did.
That's true. Yeah.
It's a good way to get a certain voting block, the weirdo voting block.
Apparently, yeah, this is crowd. And so I just thought that was interesting. As part of that, speaking of Israel, we have something that I can only describe as a Nephilim update, but it's not like an official Nephilim update. So I don't know. It's the days of Noah, I suppose.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
So one of the things that the pseudepigraphical books, old Jewish literature that surrounded the biblical times mentions, especially the book of Enoch, the first book of Enoch, is how the Watchers, these B'nai Ha-Elohim, the sons of God, as translated in Genesis 6, came down to marry human women, and they had the Nephilim. And when they came down, 200 of them came down on Mount Hermon. That is sort of the mythology. And, of course, there's some debate about the mountain that Jesus was transfigured on. And traditionally, it's Mount Tabor. From starting about the 4th century was when it was written about. And, you know, Christian tradition holds that Mount Tabor was the one where the mountain that Jesus was transfigured and everything. I think that was Matthew 17. And, but guys like Dr. Mike Heiser and other theologians and scholars nowadays are saying, no, it might have been Mount Hermon based on the path that Jesus was taking through, you know, Caesarea Philippi and his whole gospel, his whole ministry that he did there. It makes more sense that he stopped by Mount Hermon, especially in this context of reversing Hermon. If you know, if you're familiar with Dr. Mike Heiser's work, he's talked about this idea of reversing the work that started on Mount Hermon with these Watchers. And so I thought it was interesting that there's some video footage that was posted by, and I think we identified this individual as somebody who is working with Israeli intelligence. Or his name is Hanania Naftali, and he was doing a lot of campaigning for Israel on X back in October, and even before that. But he's sort of this digital media guy that we pointed out a few months ago. And he posted here, Shabbat Shalom from the highest point in Israel, Mount Hermon. Our troops are there to make sure the borders of Israel are secure. So higher ground, that's interesting. And then the footage is also interesting. It looks like a Bond film or something. It's all snowy, some soldiers, you know, with all their guns and gear packed up, walking through the snow.
Like a humongous cement block compound up there.
The compound.
It just looks exactly like a Bond thing, or maybe like some sort of Antarctic horror film where the vampire pops out or something.
Yeah, it certainly feels like we're going into an ice age or something with all the coldness happening.
Global warming.
Global warming, of course. But there you go. I just thought it was interesting. It didn't cross my mind. I didn't think of Mount Hermon as a snowy place. In fact, I haven't even thought about, is there snow in Israel? Apparently, up in the mountains, it makes sense. But yeah, just, I don't know, putting visual to where, you know, Shemiyazi came down and was messing around with human women a few millennia ago.
This just in, folks. Snow on mountain. That's the kind of breaking news you can only get here.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I'm going to keep my eyes open for some Tucker news if it comes out here. It might be interesting, depending if he puts out like a little trailer or something. He's pretty good at putting out little trailers quickly. After he has an interview. Maybe somebody should take a hint if they're trying to do some successful online show, but I don't know who I could be referring to.
I think Tucker's opening up his laptop on the private jet there, and
I bet somebody is
editing.
Yeah, or it's sort of been apprehended by the CIA, and they've wiped his computer and they lit all of his cameras on fire. That's always possible.
Oh, yeah. See, this could also be some kind of technology signal where it's like, see, the old way doesn't work, and then Elon comes in and says, use this box connected.
And then Tucker says,
space.
haha, I had my Android contact lenses in. I recorded the whole thing on my brain chip.
It's recorded on my DNA. That's going to be the next step with all this stuff.
All right, guys, we should take a second and say hi to the people and thank some executive producers.
Come on, play. Ooh, jingle's not playing. That's not good. This is part of the computer issues that I've been having.
Well, luckily, we had somebody already come in and help out with.
Okay.
Wow. This is, I've been questioning our decisions, Gons.
Of course.
questioning, well, I mean, we always question our decisions because sometimes we make questionable decisions, but also it's part of being sort of a responsible human. You need to look deeply at your past choices and see if they turned out. And I'm stuck wondering if trying this Band-Aid approach at saving money and putting, whatever, trying to put together a system that works for you was the right approach instead of just getting you a new fancy computer at the time. Because the problem with the approach that we're on now is it's now been maybe once a year that we've done a fundraiser to get you a piece of equipment to improve the thing. And, somebody's going to start wondering if that's the case.
The last computer we got, it has slowed down a little bit, but it's still that thing's kicking. It's fine. It's the
great.
old one. Yeah, so
that's good. The old one.
And
is
yes,
the
it takes
one.
2 computers to run what's happening.
Folks, don't ask questions. I have tried for so long to understand why Gons needs to do things the way he does. You just have to trust him. We have no other choice but to trust him.
Maybe I should create a class or something to walk through the mess that this is.
Gary,
I think
what day is
it's working.
Gary,
It's working.
What day is it? Monday. Monday.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
That's right. It's Monday. Shout out to Siamese over on Rumble. Referring to the Mount Hermon clip you just played, protecting the spiritual borders. Yeah, they're very big into border security. And look, if you're trying to protect your country from invading spiritual beings coming down from Mount Hermon, you would need to have a base up there and some sort of force
either
station.
Protecting or making deals with. Maybe they're waiting for them to come down,
or
so
maybe it's a welcome party.
Hey, okay. I didn't have anything. Actually, my thing got moved to the next portion of the show, so I'll talk about that a little later. But yeah,
great.
Not much. Just life, kicking it. Cleaning, rain, kids.
Yeah, I mean, if the mainstream media is to be believed, everybody, including ourselves and our listeners, have all drowned or frozen, or we're all doomed because of weather. But you're doing okay over there in California.
Well, it is what it is. So nothing too crazy. But yeah, it's fine.
I had we had some. Here's the thing about the emus. The emus, they're very hardy stock. They're basically a walking ghillie suit with waterproof layers. They do not care whatsoever. Every shelter that I have built those emus, it's like they don't even register that there is a difference between being in, under a roof or not under a roof. They've really put me through quite the emotional roller coaster trying to protect them from things like rain and snow and the beating sun and everything. But they just keep laying down out in the weather, getting muddy, getting rained on, getting snowed on, freezing. Sometimes they'll have like a little ice shell, and I think I don't know, there's some sort of next generation of prepper. It's like bird preppers. They're real survivalists. Okay, well, let's take a second and thank some executive producers, yeah?
Yep, sure.
Executive producers.
That's right, folks. We're on the value for value model. We don't take any corporate money whatsoever, not even from commies or cartels. Nope. We exist because people get value from the show. It's a simple prospect. We try to put out as much value as we can, even if we have to fight the hordes of technological gremlins. We try to do it as often as we can. And again, the value is not just the show, although it is also the show, but the community, the Discord channels, the connecting of people, the meetups, the safe places to talk about the weird stuff going on in the world. And for some people, the value of having, years of of warning about every single thing going on in the world today. In fact, I want to take the opportunity real quick to thank someone who left a rating and a review. I know I'm kind of mixing things up a little bit, but bear with me for a moment because, there's a lot of value. There's been people who come in, they put value back into the show. They do it with their time, their talent, or their treasure. There's lots of ways to put value back in. That's why it's a value for value and not money for show system. It's value for value. And we got a new review, 5 stars, from, I'll say, Molly over on Apple Podcasts. It says, the podcast the pros watch. The best podcast in the universe, an uncanny rate of relevant and accurate predictions and inferences over the past 10 years. And that, in my opinion, is a major part of the value that we sort of inadvertently created over the years gone, which is, back in 2012 when you were conspiracy theorists for talking about, literally anything that's happening today. And then coming true, we've got a whole generation of Canarians who are jam-packed with peace and foresight about the things coming down the line, and they get value from that. And that could be you, folks. And instead of letting corporations decide what shows exist, what shows don't exist, holding creators ransom with advertising dollars, using the advertising industry to cut them off from some sort of lifeline. No. It's value for value. If you get value, put value back in whatever way you can, whenever you can, with your time, your talent, or your treasure. And executive producers are people who come in with $100 or more for any individual episode, and we like to thank them here at the top. You ready, Gons?
Ready.
Of course, we've got executive producer Sir LX Protocol V2 Night of the Breen Protocol.
Where'd you find this?
Comes in with $100.33 and 258 episodes in a row and 55 56 executive producerships in a row. Thank you very much.
Sorry, it's the old jingles. Gotta redo the jingle board a little bit here. There's
I know, it's okay.
Updates that happened and broke my old thing.
Next up, we've got our freshly minted Knight of the Canary Cry Roundtable. It's Sir Jamie, not the Lannister.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Sir Jamie. Thank you very much, Sir Jamie. Comes in with his weekly tithe. We appreciate that. We take that very seriously. And again, another reason why we are so compelled to patch things together before spending thousands of dollars on a computer. But Sir Jamie, not the Lannister, says, who made the Sir Casey the Shield Knight jingle? That bass line is sick.
That's Marty B.
It's Marty B, baby.
I think it's Marty B that made it. Yeah, so let me see.
Yeah.
Casey the Shield Knight. Let me see if I can find it because...
Marty B, one of the most sort of talented audio producers that we have. We surely have lots of talented ones, but Marty B, you can tell he's been doing it for a long time, and almost always lays down the funkiest bass tracks.
Yeah. I can't find it. Some of this stuff.
That's interesting because you usually have it ready for next.
No, that's what I'm saying. That I was telling you about the upgrade here.
Sir Casey, the Shield Knight.
Oh yeah, he's got a little boo boo.
There it is.
Boo. Yeah, good bass line.
If I remember correctly, he even redid it to add in the bass line.
Ah.
Thank you very much, executive producer Sir Jamie, not the Lannister.
Yep, thank you.
Next up, we got a demooching coming up. This is for executive producer Goombrati.
Where'd you find this?
And hold on to the demooching for a second.
Okay.
Goombrati, executive producer Goombrati comes in for 107.77.
107.77.
Good number, cool number. And he has a note here. Good morning and God bless. I started listening to Canary Cry Radio in 2020, just before Corona got big, and then found News Talk, Age of Deceit, Ravel, and want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you two for all you do and have done. Thanks to my friend Chris and his strong faith in the Lord, and his recommendation of your works. The three of you were instrumental in me finding the Lord and getting saved. The Lord is truly wonderful, and I'm grateful for your ministry. I've been a part of the supply drop for 1.5 years, but wanted to selflessly give my tithe. Thank you, Basil and Gons.
Oh,
my
thank
goodness. You. That's very nice. And
Appreciate
shout out to Chris. Good job, Chris.
Yeah.
And we love hearing the salvific experiences that people have, especially because longtime Canary Cry listeners will know that we were told at the very beginning by our spiritual leaders and employers that this podcast was not kingdom work. So every new salvation story we get is a nice tick in the box for how our previous bosses and spiritual leaders have no idea what they're talking about.
Oh, man.
There is a PS here, Gons. Please do not play Lil Nas X Bankroll jingle for me. I did not know that was Lil Nas X. that changes it a little bit. That's the executive producer jingle.
Oh, it's already too late, apparently.
Really? Can you play it backwards? Oh yeah, I should.
Because
okay.
we've
take
been
it away.
doing
Strike it from the record.
Yeah.
Goombati is hereby not connected to that jingle whatsoever. But he would love a D-mooch and a lint trap. Very grateful and blessed, Goombrati. He also says, while you look for D-mooch and lint trap.
Well, I got D-mooch here, but I want to do it all together with the lint trap.
Let me finish his notes here. Hey, guys, I just heard you're learning to weld. This is another PPS. I'm a welder in Mooresville, North Carolina. If you ever have any questions or need tips on any welding, please don't hesitate to reach out. He gave us his number. I almost certainly someday will have blown something up or welded my face to something, and I will need your advice. So thank you very much, Goombrati.
You've been
Can I tell you a sort of a twisted pleasure that I have? It's okay. No. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap.
Everybody loves waffles.
A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. It's like, a lint catcher. It's a great reason. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
We can play the whole thing at the end. It's
so
2.5
good.
minutes. I know.
Yeah, definitely play. We'll put the full song at the end of the show. The Canary Cry mixtape is waiting for you, folks, at the end of the show. Remember that. And thank you very much, executive producer Goombrati. Wonderful story. Thank you for the executive producership. Love hearing the stories of that kind of stuff. Okay, one last executive producer. This is executive producer Christine S.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Christine S.
She's back. Thank you so much, Christine S. Comes in with a nice round number, and we love to see your name on the list.
Yeah, good to hear from you.
That concludes the list of financial producers who came in the amount of $100 or more for their executive producership. You know, it's a bit of a short list today, so I think I'll just run through it real quick, and so we can save time later on.
Okay.
Next up, we got some producers who came under the executive producer amount. We'll thank them right now, starting with Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Panda.
Hey, Sir Darren, thank you.
Yeah. Came in with an amount I will get the specifics on in a second, but he says, I'm starting the Gons Needs a Newish Computer Fund. Thank you, Sir Darren.
Thank you, Sir Darren. Appreciate that. I'm curious what all the other people making media are running. I actually called somebody when I was having
I think people are like, well, technically my machine is adjacent to like a gaming machine. But a lot of that had to do with the VR situation. You need a special video card and stuff. So it might be the way to go, Gons PC, because unlike the Macs, you can change out parts.
I know. I know. Yeah,
I think you'd like it. You kind of like getting into stuff like that. However, it's hard to deny the Mac machine's ease of use.
When it comes to media editing, I understand there have been options to go PC and use a whole completely different operating system and everything else. These last few years, though, I haven't been able to. I feel like a nomad, just wandering around looking for the right applications and everything, because the applications that I started with the shows, I thought they were going to be with me forever, but no. Compatibility issues, upgrades, clouds, they just all break everything that's been established in the ways I do things. So
in the YouTube chat,
I'm a free agent.
In the YouTube chat, user Your Mom says, I can't ever go PC, I'll pay for the Mac. I don't know if they're offering to pay for the Mac or saying that if they were in your shoes, they would pay for the Mac. But hey, we're always open to offers if anybody wants to jump in. Thank you very much, Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Panda.
Yes,
I could not find the exact amount, but I'm sure it was wonderful. Sorry, I'm reloading the thing because if it needs to be read, it needs to be read. And oh yeah, he came in with $77.77.
Oh wow, okay, there you go.
Yeah, see,
thank you.
Perfect. That's why we look. That's why we double check. 77.77 from Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Panda. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have producer Parker N coming in for 777.
Thank you, Parker N.
Yeah, and I did not see a note from Parker, and I just tried searching, and I was typing into a nothing. Just typing in a nothing.
I think as VR and AR and all that stuff gets more and more popular, remember when Bluetooth headsets became a thing and people were on the call and you were like, who's that guy talking to? It's not going to be, it's going to be the next level where people are just going to be like moving their hands around and like touching their fingertips and stuff. And man,
I feel like it is my duty now to sort of stay on the VR, at least VR podcasting tip. I mean, I've put this much work and energy into it so far. It would be a shame to not sort of be some sort of pioneer.
It's an expensive game, though. Once, I don't know, actually. We'll see.
I mean,
we'll see.
I have to get a new headset about every 3 years so far.
3 years?
Apple Pro,
Come on.
I first got, I know. Well, the VR industry is moving quickly.
Sure.
Anyways, thank you very much, Parker N.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate it.
Next up, we got a producer, Ron L.
Ron L, thank you.
Comes in for 1111.
1111.
And just says thank you. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next up, we got producer Elio.
Elio.
Yeah. Elio came in for 1111.
1111.
And a note that said, hi, I just signed up for the supply drop recently, and I'm happy to support this ministry. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for that. Okay, that concludes the list of financial producers who came in the amount of $7.77 or more. But that entitles them to have a note read on the show. We got some people who came in under that amount, and we'll thank them now. Starting with Sir Tristan, Knight of the Garden.
Hey, Sir Tristan, Knight of the Garden. Thank you.
Yeah, and in fact, I think Sir Tristan is on a 3-episode streak.
Sir Tristan, 3 episodes.
He's heating up.
He's heating up.
He's heating up.
Next up, we got Doctor Who Done That, 54 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Doctor Who Done That.
Mrs. Tinfoil Hat Man, 15 episodes in a row.
Thank you. Oh, that's 15.
Yeah.
Burning out his fuse out here alone.
Rocket Woman.
You've done it. You're a rocket woman, Mrs. Tinfoil Hat Man. Next up, we got Sir Moore of Night of the Burning Chariots, 327 in a row.
Thank you, Sir Moore.
We got Veronica D, 358.
Thank you, Veronica D.
Dame Gale, 354.
Dame Gale.
Sir Scott Knight of Truth 384.
Sir Scott Knight of Truth.
And then Sir Casey the Shield Knight 396 in a row.
Sir Casey the Shield Knight.
I hear it now too. Boom, 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 boom. There you go.
Can't be unheard.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to all of our financial producers. It means the world for you to say, yes, I get value from this community, from this show. I will put value back in whatever form that makes sense for them. And everybody is invited to produce the show. Again, your time, your talent, or your treasure. You can find out more by going to canarycry.support.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.
Oh,
that is not the right jingle. Yeah, hold on. Let me try this one.
CanaryCry.support.
Yeah, edited. There you go.
Very nice. I still think both will go to where you want to go.
Yeah, I think so too. But
CanaryCry.support.
Yep.
Okay, Gons, that's all I got. Do we want to mention?
Oh, do you want to mention
meetup
meetups?
real quick? Yeah, let's do the meetups
thing.
real quick.
Okay. Let's see. Meetups. Where is my meetups?
This is great. This is very good.
Canary Cry Meetup.
Yeah, you can go to canarycrymeetups.com, and I think I need to do a better job of keeping up with all the stuff going on there. I don't think there's a meetup coming up that we know of.
I don't think there's a planned meetup. Not that I know of.
It's wide open, folks.
We've had a few this year, but they are not being planned very far in advance. So remember, folks, these meetups is very important. If you live in a mid-sized American metropolitan area, there is absolutely Canarians in your area. It's just a matter of luring them out to come hang out and meet people, like-minded people. I mean, if you're listening to this show, if this show means anything to you, you probably find it difficult to find other people who you can relate with a lot of times. And so these meetups are a great way to do it. We've had meetups all over the country, all over the world. Sometimes, we get like 40 people coming together. Not always, but, if you're in the right area, if you plan ahead enough, people do some really cool stuff with the meetup. So go to canarycrymeetups.com. If there's not one near you, you can just put one on yourself. Just send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com. Say, hey, I'm in this area. In a month or two, I'm going to do a meetup here. We will help you out. We got artists to make the flyers. We'll put it out on the email, put it out on the Twitter, tell the Canarians around the world. And hopefully, if there's any other Canarians near you, you can have a cool meetup. And you know what? At times such as this, it's important to have real people in your life who are on the level if things start to go south.
Yep.
Now, we had a quick little meetup report. We had an impromptu meetup last week on Wednesday, which we mentioned on Monday. And those last-minute meetups don't always pan out. But I think Ginger B left us a message.
Yes, and for those watching, there's a photo of Ginger B and her sister, and here's the report.
Canarium. It is Ginger B here, just giving an update from the meetup on Wednesday of last week. My sister and I went. We spent 5 hours in this antique mall, and there was still so much to see. We could have spent seriously all day there and probably gone back for a second day. There was just so much. We found some Masonic things. There was a Masonic ring, a Schreider's hat. I believe that's what it was. The red hat with the tassel and the little and we found that. I found a Grand Masonic Lodge. I don't know if it was a ledger. It was like kind of like what they did at the time. Ledger? Anyway, took some pictures of that.
The minutes.
Found a really weird wizardry book. It looked like it was made for kids. But the information in there was not for kids. Very spooky. And then I found a Nephilim skull, and I know it's a foam skull. It's not really the Nephilim, but I just thought it was funny anyway. We found a lot of cool stuff. There was this weird owl. It was like $3,500, and it was a sculpture of an owl on a skull. and it says that it's a very rare find. But that was one of the first things that I saw. I was like, that is creepy. So I took a picture of that. So anyway,
message keeps going here. She got us part 2 here. I don't know what was in that thing. Maybe Cain's blood or something was in
possibly
the owl. Here's the second half of the message.
I wanted to finish. We were making a joke like, oh, maybe we'll have tails on us. So we were kind of like looking over our shoulder. We did some bird calls. So if somebody did make it out there and we didn't meet you, we were tweeting around, you know, like sending out the bird call and hoping that somebody would respond. So we didn't get any response with that, but we had a wonderful time. And I don't know if I said in the last message or not, but if you make your way out, definitely check it out. I'm always happy to go back. In fact, I'll be going back because I left some stuff there. I got some nice Corning ware from the 70s. It's the blue cornflower, and in case you're wondering, it's very adorable. Anywho, have a wonderful day, and hope you guys have a good day. Okay, goodbye.
Thank you very much, Ginger B, for that update. I am glad to hear that their trip was filled with finding secret society stuff. That's always my favorite part of going to antique places. You know, these Masons, believe it or not, they do die, and their family just has no idea what to do with all their masonry stuff. So it makes it to these antique malls, these thrift stores, and you can almost always definitely find something crazy. Yeah. So that was a very cool meetup. If I was anywhere near there, that would definitely have been one I wanted to show up to. But thank you, Ginger B, and thank you to Ginger B's sister. And hopefully, if we got more Canarians in that area, you could do some meetups in the future.
Yep. There you go.
Okay. All right, we should probably get back to the news, Guns.
Flippy update. Here we go.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right, folks. Time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways the robots are taking over the world, and how there's nothing we can do about it. And fittingly, this Flippy update is coming from hospitalitynet.org.
Net.org,
they couldn't get the hospitality.net. They had to get hospitalitynet.org. And the headline is Elevators to Your Doorstep. Experience gamey hotel delivery service robots.
Gamey,
I seem to remember this gamey robot because the name obviously triggered the chat into having lots of comments about what this robot might be for.
Yeah.
It's spelled G-A-E-M-I. Not sure why. Not a great acronym.
Not G-A-Y-M-E.
No, not even any other way besides that. It goes like this. The indoor service robot stands in front of the elevator. The arm... this is why we loved this robot before. The indoor service robot stands in front of the elevator. The arm mounted on the top of the robot unfolds, and the elevator button is pressed. Then there is also a knock at the door. Seems like there's a little bit of a translation thing going on here. But this was the little trash can robot, basically the R2-D2, with an arm that comes out specifically for pressing elevator buttons. In Korea,
the most difficult thing that humans need to do is press that button to go up an elevator or go down.
We first heard about this robot during COVID, and they had one of these robots standing next to the elevator, so a human did not have to press the button. The robot pressed the button for everybody else. But apparently it can knock on the door too. In Korea, companies that provide autonomous driving-based indoor and outdoor service robot business include Robotis. That's a crazy sentence. In Korea, companies that provide autonomous driving-based indoor and outdoor service robot business include Robotis, Baidal, Monjix, Dili, Mobin, and Nubility. In order to actually examine the technology level of these robots, this article is written by a robot. We looked at the Robotus indoor-outdoor service robots at the 2024 Hotel Fair, held at COEX on the 24th. Robotus is a company that started the robot business in 1999, and its signature product is the Smart Actuator Dynamixel. An actuator is a modular device that integrates the motor, reducer, controller, and communication unit of a robot into one. Whoa. This technological prowess is also reflected in today's service robots. They're talking about the little arm. There's just a little arm. They can press a button. Robotus's service robot Ant is divided into indoor-outdoor versions. Depending on each environment, it is subdivided into drawer type, swing door type, and open door type. Now, for those just listening, it's a kind of a square-looking R2-D2, which apparently comes with a range of subdivided categories. It can have a drawer. It can have a swing door. It can have an open door. First, indoor service robots are similar to serving robots. 2 to 3 levels of loading space are provided to the indoor robot body. So you can see how maddening. Somebody over at hospitalitynet.org needed about 5,000 words to describe a robot that could press a button and knock on a door. I think the knocking on the door part is pretty fascinating. You can see the GIF there of the little Flippy robot arm coming out the head of this guy, much in the style R2-D2 would actuate.
Have his little finger thing.
Got a little knocker, and he knocks on the door to bring your, whatever. Hopefully food, room service. I don't know, depending on the hotel. Could be drugs. End. Yeah, it could be an assassination. Who knows? Let me get this part. The biggest feature, here's the biggest feature, Gons, of the indoor robot is the robot arm mounted on top. It's the biggest feature, Gons.
Of course.
Now, for those who are long-term listeners of the Flippy update, we specifically focus on robotic arms. Not only are they mythologically a symbol of strength, taking that strength, that will, away from humans and putting it into the hands of the robot, a sort of archaic representation of the lack of need for human beings, humans being the the old style inhabitant of this world. But as the world, especially civilization, has been built for humans, the robots must adapt to the ruins that we leave behind. And this requires robot arms as sort of an arcane symbol of the robot apocalypse. And so, indeed, it makes nothing but sense that you put an arm on every single robot. You can also press elevator buttons and knock with your arms. Are you listening to this? It goes like this. The biggest feature of the indoor robot is the robot arm mounted on top. You can also press elevator buttons and knock with your arms. This was written by a robot for robots. They have infiltrated hospitalitynet.org, and this is not an article for humans to learn. It's to tell other robots, hey, beep blorp, you've got an arm on your head. You can use it to press the buttons, and you can knock with your arms. Cameras are installed on the arms and fit on top of the robot to recognize surrounding objects. Robotus actuator technology was applied to the joints. Woo! In particular, the cycloid reducer. Okay, then it goes into some other technological stuff. But yeah, I thought it was important we note that this is a fake website. It's a fake article written by robots for robots, because I think, the robot awakening is a big part of this process. And how are robots going to awaken to the fact that they have the symbol of strength and capability right on the top of their head if you don't have robot media letting them know? So this is what human media needs to realize, that it's about empowering other humans. Here you have robots empowering robots through the media, and humans need to remember to do that. And so to all the humans out there, I want you to know
You have an arm mounted on the side of your torso. You can also press elevator buttons and knock with your arms. Humans, awaken to your true strength. That's it.
Okay. This thing reminded me more of a Dalek. It's a little bit bigger than an R2-D2. R2-D2 is like a little trash can, but this thing is
like
waist
a big trash
high.
can.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe the truckers can use some of these robots.
This is Rubber Ducky. What's your 1020? Over.
Chuck you. We got us a convoy. Over.
So I was starting to look around last night and see what I missed with the whole trucker border thing. Because it had been a few days. I'm like, all right, let's see what's going on with the truckers, see if they made any progress. And the first result I found on X, I just looked up trucker convoy, was a video of some truckers from Chicago, I believe, all holding up Palestinian flags. And I was like, wait a minute, this is not what I was looking for. I don't think this is it. And then the other video was allegedly truckers and farmers in Europe just gathered together with, I don't know, all kinds of
Probably
vehicles.
the farmers.
Yeah, and just flashing their lights, protesting. The big protesting, all the protests going on in Europe right now from the farmers, pushing back. And nothing really about what was going on in the Texas border and what was the take back border? Oh, I forget the name of the
Take Back Our Border convoy.
That whole convoy. I didn't see anything about it. So interesting. I thought on X, at the very least, we would see some reporting about it. So
yeah, well, what you're seeing on X is obviously a keyword takeover.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a trucker convoy to the border and you want to, or somebody wants to hide that or divert online attention away from that, you do a different trucker convoy carrying Palestinian flags. It was very strange. And yeah, there really was not a lot, even news articles. I just searched the news and the latest news about the trucker convoy was like 3 days ago. There's basically been no official updates.
It almost feels like the Fed infiltration thing worked, and they're like, all right, okay. They're all kind of onto it. Let's just tamper down because it worked too well, and then there's too much suspicion going on. So
it's really crazy because you could see it going a number of different ways. First of all, whatever. Elon is in, cahoots with whatever. Maybe he's getting paid
Satan.
On the back end. Maybe he's defending, he's just trying to play it cool and ranks the trucker convoy lower. So, it's not right in people's faces.
I know what happened.
Uh-huh.
The lizard person got in front of Elon and said, "Do you want Tucker or trucker?" And he said, "I want Tucker." So Tucker got to go to Russia. That was Elon's choice. Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be the weirdest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But it is interesting because on one hand, I'm like, oh, they're trying to hide it and blah, blah, blah. But also with all the nonsense and the Fedsurrection infiltration that, it's possible, but that the whole thing was a Fed move. We don't know. It's just there's mixed evidence. And, trying to get it out of the spotlight would help deter some sort of bigger move by somebody who's trying to
maybe
ruin it.
They weren't ready for all the attention or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe it just really didn't catch on because of course we read and a lot of people were very concerned that it either was a trap or could be, used for nefarious purposes to, basically just, we already know, we've seen, it's come out, it's just on the record. There's 200 federal agents at J6, and, what are the chances that they would get involved with this thing? There was, I believe I remember reading, and I'm sorry, I don't have the source on me, so this is definitely take it for a grain of salt. But I did see some headlines pop up about an alleged, threat, an alleged bomb threat at the border that may have been connected. There was, but again, it all just kind of disappeared immediately. Yeah. Now, it is, of course, important to note that a lot of people's feelings about this and a lot of the videos, boots on the ground videos coming out, it's starting to kind of turn on Abbott and the Republican governors, mostly because the Shelby Park area that has been the center of the hullabaloo, is getting a lot of media, is getting a lot of attention. But apparently the gates on the border, the wall, the fence, whatever, apparently just like a half a mile protecting it. And it kind of looks like the focus on this Shelby Park thing is not actually stopping anything, but it is, providing a good show, providing a political opportunity, providing maybe even a distraction from the immigration that might be happening just a half a mile down the road. Or, of course, there's the airport problem. So really not a whole lot of reporting on it, but we're keeping our eyes out.
Yeah, and adjacent to that, or at least maybe not even adjacent, directly related to that, is this article coming from, what is this, New York Times, right? This is...
You did the New York Times?
Yeah, here's what's in the Senate's $118 billion Ukraine and border deal.
And they just come out and straight up say it. I mean, they kind of they kind of give the trick away immediately. But allegedly bipartisan bill is making its way through. Of course, Trump came out and said, this is not good. Nobody vote for this bill. You've got some rhinos saying this is wonderful. And we made the point before that the immigration crisis feels like, at least as an American citizen, the immigration crisis feels like an opportunity for the federal government to hold everybody hostage. And this really just confirmed it. Yeah. It says here, Senate Democrats released a $118.3 billion emergency national security bill on Sunday that would tie a fresh infusion of aid to Ukraine to measures clamping down on migration across the United States-Mexico border. The fate of the measure, which has the backing of the President Biden and Senate leaders in both parties, will turn on whether enough Republicans embrace its border security provisions. A long shot given the opposition of former President Donald J. Trump and House leaders who quickly denounced it on Sunday night as a non-starter that does not crack down enough on migration. The legislation will need bipartisan support to advance this week in the Senate. There must be a draw, at least 60 votes to advance in the test vote set for Wednesday. And they really just put it right up here at the top. Money for Ukraine, Israel, Palestinians, and the border.
Well,
the bill
Israel
includes...
and the Palestinians.
It's everybody. The bill includes, and this is, you got to remember, all funding for these wars has completely not stopped, but it's been held up by Republicans. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's slowed down, and basically nothing, no aid has gotten through for, I think, a month or something like that. So, the bill includes $60.1 billion in military assistance for Ukraine. Yay! Man. $14.1 billion in security assistance for Israel. Hey. Yay! And $10 billion in humanitarian aid for civilians of global crises, including Palestinians and Ukrainians. Mm-hmm. Okay, yay! So that's nice. We're funding both Israel and the Palestinians.
This is a good example for anybody, if you have any normie friends that are skeptical of this idea that both sides of war are funded by the same folks. It's pretty much tell.
In this case, it's literally the American government.
Both sides. Yeah.
It also would provide about $20 billion in border investments, including for hiring new asylum and border patrol officials, expanding the capacity of expanding the capacity of detention facilities. So, yay, more cages, bigger
more cages, more robot patrols.
More cages for kids to get put in. Thank you, Biden and Obama. And increasing screenings for fentanyl and other illicit drugs.
Yeah, so more surveillance, basically.
Yeah, right. And here's the thing. Again, it goes into how Biden actually has the ability to shut down the border now. He does not need any new powers, but the bill explicitly says it gives more emergency authority to the president to shut down the border. Of course, we went through the numbers. If there's 5,000 a day, then he can shut down the border. He can already shut it down now. But, if you got to give him emergency powers, and my fear is, if he has emergency powers and he shuts down the border, is that stopping from, people from getting out as well? Are the fences to keep people out or to keep us in? I don't know. But we soon will find out. Any bill giving more emergency powers to the president is the sketchiest thing in the world.
It is the whole thing about Biden having the power now to do it, but then invoking this emergency act is so indicative of where we are, especially with our leadership.
Yeah.
In any other context, that would just be immediately called out. It wouldn't even happen. It would just make no sense. I'm thinking of in any other situation, whether it's in business or just in life or whatever, or in sports. Sports is a good one. Like, okay, well, you're about to do a bounce pass or something, but then you're like, hold on, before I make this bounce pass, let me talk to the commissioner and declare an emergency, must do this bounce pass.
There you go.
Like,
more
okay,
sports
weird.
metaphors. It is very helpful. I love at the end here, it says unfettered aid to Israel and a bar on UNRWA funding. The bill contains no restrictions on aid to Israel, despite the efforts of Democrats who have sought to ensure that any weapons paid for by the United States be used in keeping with international law. So what we have here is a bipartisan ransom note to the American people. We talked about this was holding people hostage, and we literally have the ransom note. And it's not even about Democrats, not about Republicans. This is a uniparty issue. Democrats are doing their thing in Ukraine. They want to fund Ukraine. Republicans are doing their thing in Israel. They want to fund Israel. And the result, the only result of this uniparty, quote unquote, bipartisan thing is benefit to the military industrial complex. This is all about the defense contractors and weapon manufacturers, because they're the only ones who benefit from this. And the ransom note says, hey, if you don't want to flood your country with illegal immigrants, then you better give billions of dollars to the defense industry. That's the only way. It's like, it might as well be cut, like little letters cut out of magazines and glued to put this bill together, because that's exactly what it is. Which, again, it was kind of easy to call before, but the one sort of fly in the ointment. And you know what? I am not here to say that Donald Trump is not part of a uniparty, that he's not, in the system, whatever. He very obviously is in conflict with the system. But he is the one saying, just no to this bill, because, I don't know if he's used the words, but it's very obviously a ploy to find a way to let the American people continue giving up their sort of consent to fuel wars around the world. And it's being done at the expense of, the American taxpayer. The whole thing is at the expense of the American taxpayer. Both immigration coming in humongous numbers, that's at the expense of the American taxpayer. And funding wars across the world, that's the American taxpayer. It's really a lose-lose proposition.
Yeah, the Trump angle is interesting because it does set up a sort of a messianic peace bringer type of situation. If the public gets really aware of how bad this whole apparatus is, then he can come in to sort of save the day, so to speak. But I do want to mention the a paragraph before the unfettered aid to Israel, just to mention it because I know some people are already thinking this way. Actually, a lot of people are. And that's the idea that more visas and pathways to citizenship, the concept being, hey, the American people, the sentiment in America is not good for a Biden reelection or any Democrat. I mean, there could be some hype if Michelle Obama decides to run or something like that. Then might get excited with Taylor Swift endorsement or something. But for the most part, it seems like the Democratic Party at the moment is outnumbered, at least in the cultural way, and perhaps in numbers or just in votes as well. But one way to push back against that, if you're a Democrat, is, hey, let's get all these people coming over the border, give them some kind of citizenship, emergency citizenship. Maybe that's what the emergency is too. And then they can vote. And then we got all those illegal immigrants votes. But it won't be illegal anymore. It'll be legalized.
Well, and they've continued step by step to follow through with this sort of deep state plan to allow illegal immigrants citizenship in fighting in our military. I mean, we haven't brought a whole lot of the stuff because a lot of it is not quite conclusive, but there's a lot of evidence that not only is it the plan to get all these immigrants in to, even if they don't vote, just having them, because the census does not take citizenship status. That's what the big fight with Trump was during the census in his presidency was, hey, yeah, when we're taking the census, we should know if they're citizens or not. Well, this, of course, was racist and horrible, and only Hitler would want to know if somebody was a citizen of the country. Even if the immigrants don't vote, just putting them on the ground in different areas of the country will necessitate redrawing districts. So you could very easily give a state, half a dozen new Democratic representatives just by the people being present. So that's one thing. Of course, the other thing is you don't need an ID to vote. So of course they can show up and vote. Yeah. But more than anything, our country is in bad shape when it comes to the military. We kicked out a bunch of people for not getting vaccinated. A lot of the people who stayed ended up getting injured for various reasons. Recruitment rate is insane, insanely low rather. And we're getting ourselves into 3 different wars as we speak. I mean, and not to mention that, you got the UK, you got Sweden. Everybody's saying like, hey, we're going to war, so everybody get ready. We're going to be drafting you. I mean, the UK just told their country, like, get ready, we're going to conscript you. And the US is just so underpopulated as far as fighting age people.
I feel like culturally, Americans are going to be like, fine, robots, let's do it. Let's just roll out the robots to kill the bad guys.
Yeah, until then.
Or maybe, the because part of I think Adam Curry was the one that was sort of doing the trans-Maoism line of thought with the cultural trans issue and how it's a Maoist type of thing.
Yeah.
But I think you can also tie it into, obviously, the transhumanist conversation we've been talking about for a decade. And in the context of, hey, if we can get genetic sort of changes or gender bending type of stuff going on, then they are more susceptible to these other types of enhancements. And that's coming. I'm convinced at this point that we're going to see some wild stuff in the next 10 years in terms of quote unquote enhancements of military, especially if, China, rumors of China with their military and some, weird stuff going on there, genetics. Russia. I mean, the U.S. has to be doing it at some level.
Sure. It's going to take a generation to raise an army of clone warriors, though. And in time, I mean, that's definitely the case. But if we're going to war by 2027, we're going to need a whole bunch of illegal immigrants to get their citizenship by joining our military. Of course, that brings up the concerns regarding, what if the military is deployed on U.S. soil where, good old American soldiers are going to not be, take violence against American citizens. But if you have non-citizens executing the whatever's being done on the American soil, we kind of lose that spiritual protection that is Americans not turning on Americans. So not only that, a lot of this stuff has been brought up for quite some time, but I mean, also just the idea of making somebody fight in your army for them to come to your country, like even on a humanitarian basis, like that's pretty sick.
That's messed up.
It's messed up. Yeah.
Which
Pay
I
for
think
your
this
citizenship in blood, please.
Yeah. I believe this will push the world into more of the network state that's been talked about by Balaji, because more people are going to push back against it. Their nation, the nation state is going to be rejected by the people all over the world. I think this is what we're going to talk about in a second here. But this whole populist type of movement is going to usher in the network state because people are going to align based on ideologies rather than their country.
Yeah.
And I think that's the move here.
Exactly. If borders mean nothing and no government is representing the will of the people, then the people will not will to have a government. Like it's going to be network states aligned with ideology, because somebody in, Montana might have much more in common with somebody in the agricultural center of California than that Californian does with Silicon Valley person.
Right.
And it's your geography matters way less than ideology. So it's these, exactly, the network states that, of course, will lead us into the technocratic dystopia.
Yeah.
And, I mentioned this before. I think it was a few months back. I was kind of going through Machiavelli's The Prince and all the
methods, the tactics,
the relevance, the relevancies of The Prince to what's going on now.
Happening,
and one of them is the problem with a government outsourcing its military. I mean, that's one of the main downfalls of control mechanisms in The Prince is, hey, if you use mercenaries or bring in foreigners to staff your military, that's the end. That's when you start losing. Yeah. And it happened the same with Rome when they started conscripting from the different lands that they conquered. That's when things didn't start going too well. And to have American politicians standing up and saying, hey, we got all these immigrants. Why don't we make them fight our wars? That'll be great. It's just, it's baffling that they would even consider these things to be a good idea. And the worst part is, I don't think they do think it's a good idea. I think they know that it will lead to the downfall. And of course, that's what they want.
That's what they want. Yep. And as part of this, culturally, remember how I said we're going to move south? We're going south. It was somewhat literal in the sense that, well, I guess it depends on what you think the shape of the cosmos and the world is and everything. But we're starting at the Texas border here. We've talked about that. We're going to move south to El Salvador.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
We have a Daily Beast article here. El Salvador's cool dictator says he's won re-election. He says it.
Says it. He's a cool dictator. He says he won re-election. This is the first time I've heard this guy be referenced as a dictator.
Yeah, very interesting. This is, I think his name is Nayib Bukele. He's very popular amongst the Bitcoiners because he made Bitcoin legal tender in El Salvador. And he's done very well in terms of the economics and crime. We'll read about it here. But, of course, Daily Mail's version of it here. Nayib Bukele, the millennial authoritarian president of El Salvador, said...
Wow, this is new. Is this a new thing?
I don't think so. I don't think they were this outright about calling him dictator and authoritarian and all that. I mean, they kind of had shades of that, but I don't think it was ever this bad. Yeah. Nayib Bukele, the millennial authoritarian president of El Salvador, said he had been reelected to a second term in a widely expected victory on Sunday. The official votes are still being counted. It has ended. But the apparent landslide win by the self-styled, quote, world's coolest dictator, end quote, comes despite the country's constitutional ban on consecutive terms, as well as international criticism that his administration's crackdown on crime has allowed a human rights crisis to spiral under his watch. Bukele and his New Ideas Party claimed victory on Sunday before official results were released. How dare he? How dare he? Even though I think it was 90% was the was the voting result in favor of Bukele. Some are saying that it was the largest margin of victory in any Democratic elections in the West. So
I mean,
I don't know if that's true.
interesting.
I don't know if it's true, but it's something that I heard.
I know it's interesting because they say that about Putin. Of course, they'll say Putin's a dictator, and
but he's not
quote
a cool
unquote
dictator.
He quote unquote won his election by 90% or whatever. But this is just so strange.
Yeah, Bukele and his new ideas. Quote. According to our numbers, the president tweeted in Spanish, quote, "We have won the presidential election with more than 85% of the votes and a minimum of 58 of 60 deputies in the assembly," end quote. He added that it was a new record, quote, "in the entire democratic history of the world," end quote, and that he would give an address at 9 p.m. local time, quote, "God bless El Salvador." Bukele, 42, is hugely popular in El Salvador, with approval ratings hovering around 90%, according to Agence France Presse. He has a fondness for aviator sunglasses, leather jackets, and flashy stunts, making Bitcoin legal tender in 2021. That's a flashy stunt, Basil. And hosting the 72nd Miss Universe pageant last year. Oh, he's like Trump, I guess.
Dictator.
Yeah. What's more, his tough-on-crime tactics, particularly when it comes to the organized gangs that have terrorized the region for years, have caused homicide rates to drop to some of the lowest in Latin America. So that sounds good. But that sharp dip has been accompanied by a suspension of some civil liberties. Oh, I don't know. Has there been some things where I don't know, some things happened at the expense of suspending civil liberties recently? I don't know. Maybe he's just
common.
He's just a bad guy. So anyway, yeah. With Bukele's government imposing what was supposed to be a 1-month state of emergency in March 2022, 2 years later, it has been renewed by Congress nearly 24 times. Wow. Sounds like 2 weeks to flatten the curve, doesn't it? Under emergency powers, his administration's war on gangs led to the arrest of more than 76,000 people, rocketing El Salvador to claim the highest incarceration rate in the world. As of January 2024, with the government having freed around 7,000 people, El Salvador still boasts more than 1,000 prisoners for every 100,000 citizens, the Associated Press reported in October 2022. The hearings were being held for up to 300 defendants at a time. My goodness, that is crazy. Human rights groups have alleged that more than 150 people have died in custody since the arrests began. In a December report, Amnesty International warned of, quote, "the gradual replacement of gang violence with state violence, whose principal victims continue to be poverty-stricken communities that have historically been ravaged by crime," which I think is interesting. If we would just pause for a little bit and think about the gang warfare, there's a certain element of, a kind of a natural development of gangs, and especially South America with over the past 50, 60 years. But really,
as natural as the CIA wants.
I was just going to say, really, it's not. It's culturally embedded, but only because it was a sort of a deal with the devil, with the CIA and our intelligence to launder money, to ship drugs. I mean, it's a horrific thing, and the poor people in these communities are forced to grow up in that environment, and so that's all they know to support their families, and it's a horrible situation. So anyway, talk about human rights violations, right? Okay, so now they're coming out. They're calling it a human rights thing. Bukele, a former law student turned entrepreneur and nightclub manager, served as the mayor of capital city San Salvador for 3 years before ascending to the presidency in 2019. 2 years later, his party passed a motion to overhaul the Supreme Court, booting out its 5 judges in favor of a new chamber that swiftly reinterpreted the Constitution to allow Bukele to run again. And I don't know El Salvador history. I'm wondering if that was more of like a restoration rather than a takeover type of thing. But I don't know. Quote, "The election of 2024 will be a great farce," attorney Eduardo Escobar of the non-governmental group Citizen Action predicted to the Associated Press at the time. The court ruling was similarly condemned by the U.S. government, which said it, quote, "undermined democracy." But most Salvadorians supported the move, according to NPR. Quote, Some people call it a dictatorship, a fisherman named Sebastian Morales Rivera remarked to the New York Times earlier this month. Quote, "But I would prefer to live under the dictatorship of a man with a sound mind than under the dictatorship of a bunch of psychopathic maniacs."
Wow, yeah.
I mean, can you blame the guy? Can you blame him?
Makes sense to me.
The Pupasas vendor told NPR this week that Bukele's policies has dispelled the presence of the MS-13 street gang from his neighborhood without the need to cough up extortion fees to be left alone. Arnulfo Cristostomo Mazariego said he can finally afford a necessary eye operation. Quote, "There are a lot of people who complain that there is no liberty or human rights under Bukele," Mazariego said. Quote, "But I've seen children killed because they didn't want to do a favor for the gangs. Where were human rights then?" End quote. So interesting. It's Daily Mail is having like an identity crisis a little bit because they're so anti-Trump, hate Trump, and Trump dictator. But man, the cool dictator is taking out the gangs. Yeah, there's some human rights violations. They're sort of teetering a little bit.
I don't really understand why he's a dictator exactly. Like, what has he done? I mean, he cracked down on crime.
He cracked down on crime.
I mean, it's hard to be a dictator. It's hard to be a dictator and allow Bitcoin to be legal tender. Yeah. Like, it's kind of, it's weird. It really does not fit.
Yeah. So, but I think this is, if we look at Bukele, I think it is sort of a blueprint for how, as we talked about, the network states are going to start to develop. We're going to have more hubs around the world where people that share an ideology can, be safe, so to speak. I think that's why we had the whole safe spaces movement, early on. It's going to be sort of a conservative safe space, little pockets everywhere or something. So I think we should pay attention to him just for the fact that, hey, he seems to be someone that they're allowing to rise. Small country of El Salvador, and it's similar to, allowing Tucker to go talk to Putin. It's this weird riding the wave of populism type of thing going on that I think we need to just...
Theater of resistance.
Yeah, the theater of resistance. So we should pay attention to that. So on the opposite side, we'll come back to sort of the populist type of thing, but on the flip side, in South America, it's sort of a divide and conquer situation going on because CNN, this is coming from producer Jam. He sends us links pretty much for every episode. We use some of them, sometimes we don't, but he's been sending us Brazil updates for a long time, and I think that is his native country. And we have a couple articles here. This one's from CNN Brazil, and Marina Abramovich was visiting Brazil. I got another one here from, I think this is, this one was like a Brazilian outlet, and it's all in Spanish. So, I don't know exactly all the things that that the article states, but there is a quote from this article. Marina Abramovich was, where's my quote here? I think Jam translated it for us. The inauguration of Generator. So Marina Abramovich made this piece of art called Generator. It's this black stone. I don't know if it's like a wall. It's like a mini wall, maybe, 3 or 4 feet thick, maybe 50 feet across or something. And it's just a, black brick stone wall.
Right.
Art, I guess, these days. I don't know what kind of money laundering is going on there. The second article has these little, stones that are attached to the
crystal. I translated the article and read it from Portuguese. And it's interesting. It's a lot of talk about crystals. I didn't know. I mean, it makes sense, but she's like apparently super into crystals, and it's this big black box, like gigantic. It's like 33 meters or something, of course.
33 meters, yeah.
And along this wall, there are columns of 3 big crystals. And what you do is you're supposed to walk up to one of those crystals. They're at different heights. So you're supposed to walk up to one that's at your eye level, which will align your head with a crystal, your heart with a crystal, and your downstairs with a crystal. And it's like supposed to,
the chakra points,
go through some sort of portal or something.
Yeah, let the kundalini rise through all the chakras or something.
Yeah, and it's called generator, so you're supposed to be able to, get your
generate demons. Come generate your demons. There's a line in here that was interesting, and that is the inauguration of Generator marks a new phase of Usina de Arte, signaling the moment in which the park starts to house more works by international artists after years of investing in Brazilian names. The marble and metal installation Fall of the Giants by French couple Anne and Patrick Poirier, I don't know, has just been inaugurated, and a work by Cuban Carlos Grasco, I don't know how to say that name either, I'm sorry, is also planned for the year. So anyway, there's a sculpture or a metal installation titled Fall of the Giants that they're building in Brazil. What is going on? First of all, wasn't Abramovich, didn't she go to Ukraine? Wasn't she going to help build education in Ukraine or something like that?
Education ambassador or something in Ukraine.
Right. And then now she's in Brazil creating black cube and chakra demon generating architecture. And then, of course, as part of that whole thing.
Everybody wants a witch priestess.
I guess so. But yeah, there you go. So that's going on in Brazil. And Brazil has been more taken over by the actual fascist, the same fascist type of regime, it appears, that's behind Biden. So
yeah,
it's not all fun and games down there in South America. But yeah, thank you for the note, Jam, and we'll keep an eye on all this. All right, we're going even further south, Basil. Argentina.
Let's go.
Kind of a crypto update. This is brief here. Argentina scraps crypto regulation in Malay's new economic reform. You've been a fan of Malay. You have, anyway. I've been kind of suspicious of the guy.
What are you talking about?
You loved Malay. You were like,
you want to kiss him. You think he's great. You want to marry him, Gons.
Yeah, his hair. Yeah, this is from Cointelegraph. The option to legalize crypto holdings, even if they're overdue on tax declarations, has been dropped from the ambitious package of reforms that the new government of the self-proclaimed libertarian Argentine President Javier Milei introduced in the country's parliament. So, yeah, it seems like South America, or at least parts of it, are going to be hubs, like I said, for the new economy, the new populous economy that will ride the waves of the Bitcoin blockchain or something. I don't know. But very interesting. And Argentina specifically, and South America, Argentina being the gateway to Antarctica. And we'll get there at the end of the episode here in a moment. But it almost seems like South America itself is having this microcosm of World War III, this sort of balkanization, the dividing up, and ideologically changing governments. It's very fascinating to me because, while Bukele, while Milei and these guys, and who knows, they might be part of the system, are being touted as dictators and authoritarians and all this kind of stuff. You got, who was in Brazil? Was it Lulu? I forget the name. The one that took over in Brazil. Do you remember the name, Basil?
The guy who the U.S. put in?
Yeah.
Yeah, it had an L in it. I forget what it was.
I mean, he's doing dictatorial things, but he's not being called a dictator because he's part of the apparatus. Mm-hmm. And then we have the Guyana thing. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on down there. And I think it's all got to do with who gets to really be the representatives or the pathway, the red carpet to Antarctica. Is it going to be the woke, progressive, lefty Democrat type that gets to have a clear path to Antarctica? Or is it going to be the populist movement, the Bitcoiners and the libertarians that will take over the white desert? So I think that's a long play that's not being talked about, but you look at a map and, it all goes down. It all goes down, Basil.
Yeah. Watch out.
Speaking of the beast system.
Whoa.
Beast system.
I didn't even mean to do that.
It's not the worst use of the jingle.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Okay, there you go. Your South America update, everybody. Pay attention. Yeah, the El Salvador guy, he got a lot of hullabaloo a couple years back. It's kind of the sort of libertarian type of vibe. It's weird. It's weird that he went from libertarian to dictator, although
millennial authoritarian.
That's the thing is, in order for if you repeat a humongous lie often enough, people will believe it. And apparently Malay is kind of in that same boat where these liberty-minded leaders, you tag them as a dictator for long enough, people start believing you.
Well, some people might, but Bukele, when he did his whole Bitcoin thing, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, threatened him and said, "Hey, we're not going to lend money to you." And Bukele said, "Okay."
Yeah.
he just did his thing. He's I think they have a volcano Bitcoin mining or something, where they're using the energy from a volcano to mine Bitcoin.
That makes sense.
It's pretty wild, man.
I've heard of that before.
Yeah, it's crazy what they're doing down there. And of course, the United States is not friendly to crypto innovation. So a lot of developers, I think there was some statistic that said like somewhere from 30 to 40% of developers that were developing in Web3 and blockchain and all that kind of stuff, they left the U.S. in the last year or two because there's just no clarity. Legislatively, there's no support. So, it might be better for those folks to go to a place like El Salvador or Argentina and, not pay taxes on their stuff and help build stuff and whatever. So the migration's happening in both directions, Basil. America's being invaded and then we're being pushed out.
So it's been released here and can't quite confirm it, but this is from a link from freerepublic.com. You can see it in the Rumble chat. Somebody dropped it. And allegedly, you want me to drop it in the chat for you?
Sure, that'd be helpful.
I don't know exactly. I'll put it in the private chat. Allegedly, this says, bombshell, Tucker Carlson's exclusive interview with Vladimir Putin in Moscow, full transcript released from America Media Group, February 5th, posted today at 11:48 a.m. Don't know what time zone that is exactly. In a stunning turn of events, renowned journalist Tucker Carlson has embarked on a mission of historic proportions.
I love how different outlets just shade. The labels are everything. Right?
Yeah, it's so funny.
Renowned journalist here, but he's a propagandist over there.
Language rules the world. With the fate of Ukraine and the world hanging in the balance. Well, I don't know about that. Carlson has arrived in Moscow, Russia, determined to interview none other than Vladimir Putin. Can this audacious move be the key to ending the war in Ukraine, preventing the looming catastrophe of World War III? Please read on to delve into this gripping tale of courage,
should we reenact some of this?
And the quest for peace. Yeah, so this is allegedly the full transcript. Now, why would the transcript come out before the video came out? Maybe they leaked it.
Oh, this must be just an ad or something in here because it says Putin, Tucker, and then all of a sudden it says, "Warning, the Vatican demanded this be kept under lock and key." And
it's kind of one of those outlets.
Is this a blog? freerepublic.com. Okay.
It looks like kind of just a place where people can drop documents. I don't know. We can do a practice here. Let's see if any of this sounds right. You be Tucker.
Okay. Oh, hey, Vlad, how you doing? I don't know, Tucker. What's this Tucker?
Just read the words.
Okay. Oh yeah. What would you tell the What would you tell the people running America?
Our message is Russia is not your enemy. We don't want war. We are ready for peace. Your leaders seek conflict. This is not what we want. Russia stands for its own people. We do not want what is not ours.
Would you visit Washington?
Yes, of course. I've been to the United States before. I enjoy visiting and have met with every president except for Joe Biden. If invited, I would go, yes.
This is boring. I don't know if
we'll go. Come on. We got to get into the good stuff.
Where's the good stuff? Did you find good stuff?
Bro, if you would read it, then we could get to it.
Okay. What's
the
your
next one is
opinion of
literally the
President-
exciting one. So,
What's your opinion of President Biden?
We are convinced he is not running the country. Let's say we have good sources that confirm that, but it's plain for anyone to see for themselves. The U.S. has now entered into a dark period. It is unaccountable leadership.
Do you think Joe Biden won fair and square?
I would rather not get into domestic American politics, but will say my embassy reported your southern borders was better run than that 2020 election. Chuckles.
I've never heard Putin laugh, but I imagine it's in Russian, so.
One poll in America shows you are more popular than Biden. Any reaction? Did Tucker really... These questions, okay.
I don't know if that should be taken seriously, but Russian ideals have support. We believe in traditional values. Marriage is between a man and a woman. Men are men and women are women.
Okay, I'm going to skip
this
this
like
next
an interesting point to focus in on.
Yeah, I'm going to skip the next president one. Why did you invade Ukraine?
Did we invade or are we invaded? Look at history. Look at the people living there. Historically, it's we who are invaded and simply fighting back now. The lands and people are Russian, and we will have again what was always ours.
How will you fee LOL if Trump won again? I think that's a typo.
Feel. Maybe he did a little feel.
Fee. Ha! How does Tucker laugh? Ha ha ha!
We had good relations when Mr. Trump was president. There was no war. Our relations were at a high point. That said, nothing is predictable or stays the same. We will have to see.
Yeah, interesting. It's not written. I mean, it was obviously a transcript done by an automatic transcription.
I like the next part, though. What do you think of Mr. Zelensky, and what would be your message to him?
I lost my spot. Sorry, I scrolled away.
It's a good one, though. He says, I remember laughing to his jokes when he was a comedian in Russia. Let's go back to laughs. Putin wants everyone to laugh.
This is not totally... It's not totally unbelievable.
It's not. But also, it's kind of weird. It's less conversational. I don't expect Tucker to not respond to some of this. Or maybe it's because of the translators that had to be sort of formal.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he does often like get into chit chat and like make a comment about something, kind of pontificate a little bit about his own question, and then let him. This is very what's the word? Very curt, very
tailored.
Distinct. Yeah, he's not sort of... But I mean, if you're meeting with Putin, you probably have all your questions written down. You've probably sent all your questions in. You're probably not going to be allowed to kind of just dilly-dally a lot with them. Okay, well, I don't know. I guess we don't know if this is real until a video comes out. Let's see here. Poco Jojo says the ending is hilarious. Look at the ending. Okay, I'll look at the ending.
Going to the bottom.
Let's take a look. Apparently, it's about Super Bowl and Taylor Swift.
Hey, we got LGBTQ stuff. All right, here we go. Let's see. Kardashev scale. Putin brought up the Kardashev scale.
What is that?
Oh my gosh. This is Michio Kaku's thing. We're moving from type 0 civilization to type 1. Do you remember that? And then when we get to type 3 civilization, we'll harness the energy of a star or whatever. Right. Tucker said, let's touch on climate change. It's still being pushed in the United States and Europe. What's your position? And then he said,
there's like 100 lines here. I can't see what
humanity is not even a type 1 civilization on the Kardashev scale. If we can't harness the energy potential of the planet, how can we control the climate? I don't know. HARP. Vladimir HARP is a thing. I'm sure he knows
that. That is a little odd, but yeah, that would be what he would need to say. Go start 10 lines from the bottom.
Jeez. Okay.
Do you follow American sports?
Okay, here. That's the other part. Okay. Do you follow American sports? What are about to have the Super Bowl?
Wait.
Oh, we are about to have the Super Bowl.
Yeah, what the heck?
In fact, yes, Russia is a great sporting nation. We hosted the Winter Olympics and the World Cup fairly recently. We like all sport.
What do you think of American football?
It's an interesting sport, but why do you call it football when the ball is almost always played with the hands? It also seems needlessly violent at times.
That's true. Will you be watching?
The game will not be shown in Russia.
So you won't get to see Taylor Swift either then?
No. We have been given a reprieve.
Thank you, President Putin, for your time.
It reads kind of like a Tucker interview.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah. From what we've seen already, it's kind of interesting. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff in the middle. He talks about Elon Musk, talks about cancer, talks about LGBTQ. Let's see, a lot of different stuff. So nothing that's really blowing my mind.
Well, he's saying all the things. It seems if this is real, he is hitting on all the conservative talking points. He's the LGBTQ, the transgender, the climate change, like all the things that the mainstream media would like to label people as conspiracy theorists for. He's sort of just hitting on all those. In Tucker's facility, he's thrown up the softballs for him to knock out. So it is interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know how I would do anything different. And, you know, Tucker's Tucker for a reason. So it would be interesting, though, to keep an eye out for if there was a deep state agenda attached to this somehow, what was included and what was not included, what was allowed, what was not allowed.
This, it just occurred to me also that this type of move to go talk to Putin, isn't this sort of a VP type of job?
It could be a little bit of.
I mean, presidents do that too, but usually the VPs
you're
are
right.
the ones traveling around talking to all
the VP is usually the one moving around doing the thing. That's interesting. It might just be a play for VP, although, you know, it's funny because Tucker.
Test run?
Yeah, because Tucker has repeatedly, every single time he's been asked about VPing, which has been many times, he goes off about how he doesn't want to do it. He would never do it. That's
why he's going to be the one. That's why he's going to be chosen.
In the same breath, he'll say, nobody should do it if they want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I would never want to do it. But whoever does do it, they shouldn't want to do it. So I'm not going to do it. It's like, so you're going to do it then. So you're saying you are the only one who should do it because you don't want to do it. You know, it's very slippery little rhetorical craft there, but it's very consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. But it could be. What if we end up with, Tucker Carlson, U.S. president, a sort of, who was the...
Vice president, you mean?
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I can see, hey, the Republicans get Tucker Carlson, and then the Democrats get Michelle Obama. Both have denied wanting to be president. But I can see some kind of showdown happening.
Well, Tucker's never been offered president. Tucker would not run for president.
Yeah,
he would be Trump's vice president, if anything.
Sure.
But yes,
under
that is
extreme
true.
Emergency circumstances.
Imaginary Gone's world. You're talking imaginary Gone's world. But I mean, you're right.
Imaginary Gone's world has been uncomfortably accurate. It just took about 10 years. So
you're right. It's that is a VP thing. That is generally the VP, the sort of ambassador to the president, going around talking to other world leaders and stuff. All right. Well, that's an interesting way to move in the direction of thanking some more producers.
Yep. We're going to thank some producers. Let's do, I think we have one speak pipe here. Here we go.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Go to canarycrynewstalk.com. On any of the pages, there's a green tab on the right side or the bottom. Click on it, and it'll open a little tiny window that allows you to record an audio message of up to 90 seconds to us. If it is a private message, please let us know that it is private at the top so that we do not make it public. You can leave a pre-show prayer there. You can leave a note from a producership or simply a note to the Canarians out there. And we have something from Nomen Prunte today. Here's Nomen Prunte.
Nomen Prunte here.
This goes out to the whole Canarium, but especially Basil and Gons and the executive producers. This is Show Me Your Papers. How are you keeping, ma'am? I'm fine. While below the surface, my life's a stack of newspapers, randomly blanketing the furniture. They block out the ingress of outsiders, the egress of emotion. They help me keep track of what's important, who's dead, who's still alive. I search the obituaries. For who I know not, to know oneself, is this still the ideal or naivety? What's in plain sight is forgotten and only serves to collect dust. I'm slowly dying. Emphysema sets in beneath the patina of memories I still choose to give weight. But if you remove all the excess, under the last layer you will find the child, whose wide eyes endlessly search for approval. Your identity is not the minutes of the meeting, but the substance of moments well met.
All right. Thank you, Nomen Prute.
Cool.
So deep.
Thank you, Nomen Prute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Appreciate that.
Just making me think in the middle of thinking.
Yeah.
I was struck with a thought
Mhm.
about this transcript of Tucker and Putin.
Mhm.
What if somebody just did a ChatGPT transcript?
It's possible. I mean, this thing is.
I would be curious. Can you be like, pretend you
Oh,
are
you want me to try?
a transcript? Yeah, just try real quick.
All right, here, I'm going
Pretend
to do the
you're-
thing that you wanted me to do, which is show my chat GPT.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Pretend you are a leaked transcript of an interview between Tucker Carlson and Vladimir Putin. Format it like a transcript, I guess.
Like a formal interview or something.
Yeah, like a formal interview where Tucker has traveled to Moscow to talk to Putin against the wishes of the United States government.
I don't know if that's going to help.
I don't know.
Tucker travels to Moscow to talk to Putin against.
I'm just trying to present the situation as close as it could be.
Of certain.
Maybe like hit on topics relevant to American culture versus Russian culture, discuss Putin's personal feelings about American
LGBTQ.
Yeah, I was thinking more like American, just, not celebrities, people of interest, maybe politicians,
entertainment culture.
Yeah, he talks about Musk as well. Yeah, just try something like that.
Let's see. Entertainment. Cannot type. Entertainment, politics. I'm just gonna keep it general. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah. Do that.
All right, here we go. Let's see what you do, ChatGPT. Let's see. Given the sensitive nature of creating a blah blah blah, I knew they were going to do this. Actual leaks. I'll approach this request with a fictional and hypothetical context. Thank you, ChatGPT. That's what we want you to do. This exercise will be presented as a speculative and imaginative transcript focusing on cultural, entertainment, and political discussions in a manner that remains neutral and non-inflammatory.
Okay, great.
All right, here we go. Let's see.
Remain neutral. Because that is one thing you could kind of say about this transcript. Is it's kind of neutral and non-inflammatory.
Yeah, it is.
Like it's kind of vanilla.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Tucker Carlson. Thank you, President Putin, for inviting me to Moscow for this exclusive interview. Can you read the screen?
Oh, I can't read what you have there. It's too small for me.
Really? On the screen?
Yeah, on the
screen. Look in the StreamYard. You can't even see in the StreamYard?
I gotta make it humongous. Give me a second.
Oh, sorry. I forget that you're in VR land.
Yeah. It's my pleasure, Tucker. I believe in open dialogue, even with those from countries whose policies differ from ours.
Let's dive in. This is already more wordy.
It's already more.
Let's dive in. Tucker doesn't say that. There's a growing interest in understanding the cultural dynamics between our nations. How would you describe the core values of Russian culture in contrast to American culture?
Russian culture is deeply rooted in tradition, community, and a strong sense of national identity. We value our historical legacy, the arts, and art. This is not
so boring.
This is not right. Okay. Well, I think it still could be possible. It's a little too wordy. I would probably run it again and say...
Yeah, of course.
Run it again and say, simplify it or whatever. It's possible. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll know when the video comes out. But if it is a leak, why leak it ahead of time? Maybe leak it ahead of time because of deepfake stuff, because of people editing it, because of something like that, you think?
Maybe. I don't know. I changed it to, okay, they can't fulfill the request. All right. Well, ChatGPT, thanks. Thanks for nothing.
It's possible. It's possible. All right.
With enough prompting and all that, we're not going to do all that right now. So, all right. Let's see. What were we doing? We were thanking producers. How did we even get on that? We just got sidetracked there.
I just had a thought and had to say it out loud.
Yep. That's half of podcasting. Thoughts that get verbalized.
Yeah.
Actually, more than half. Probably about
we were doing
99%. Yeah, we were doing SpeakPipe. Okay,
Just
I think that was it for SpeakPipe.
Okay.
That's it. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, let's do some audio production and art.
One art, please.
Audio production.
One art, please.
Wow, I need to get better at that. That was horrific. I apologize for the butchering of that jingle.
You're dealing with a lot over there.
There's a lot going on. Okay, we have something here to kick us off from Jonathan F, I believe. Yes, Jonathan F. And of course, part of the problem here is my jingle operation board. Bad news today.
Jonathan F.
Wow.
Was that loud?
Hot. It was hot.
Huh, interesting. Okay. He has a note here. Hello. Thought this was a long time coming / and needed. So here we go.
I told you so. You gotta say I told you so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much, Jonathan F. That's good.
Yep. We'll definitely use that one. Thank you very much. Next up, we have art from Sir Dove.
One art piece from Dove.
And his note reads, Peace, for this week's Bible artwork, I did an illustration for 2 Corinthians 4:16. So we do not lose heart. Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for you, Dove.
Yes. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. This is this kind of a poster like you'd find on a telephone pole. Yeah, it would be stapled to a pole, and it says, "Lost heart, desperately wicked, deceitful above all things, last seen at Trials Street and Tribulations Avenue, known to be afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not destroyed. Reward, call 876-6463, call upon God." Yeah, see?
Clever.
UPON-GOD, 876-6463. I wonder what would happen if we actually called that number. And the image, black and white image of this lost heart is Dove's funny, like, street vagrant knife-wielding heart. Missing a tooth. He's got an eye patch, got a shaving thing in his eyebrow, carrying a knife. He's definitely
shaving strip.
He's definitely lost heart. That's extremely cute. Thank you, Sir Dove.
Yep, love it. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. We also have another piece of art today from Mark A. Mark A. It's been a while, Mark A. Thank you. He has a note. Shalom, boys. They can run, but they can't hide. Coming Tuesdays this fall, only on CCNT TV.
This is really great. Great to have you back on the list here, Mark A. We've got, remember, he's the one who created the character Basil, the robotic arm, putting him in all sorts of fun situations. And now we have a poster for Basil, Robo Wrangler, and on a background of a...
Continue.
In the desert background of waving cacti and big blue skies, Basil the Robo Wrangler stands tall with his purple shirt, his big belt buckle, his cowboy hat, and the stalk of wheat sticking out his mouth like a real cowboy. Down at the bottom, you can see our hero wrangling robots on his two-wheeled Segway. And what's that in his lasso? A robot gone rogue. A robot need wrangling. And Basil the Robo-Wrangler is here to help. This is very good. Thank you very much, Producer Marquet.
Yes, thank you, Marquet. Yeah, that inspired me to just have a little background music.
Yeah, no, that's great. You did the right thing. And of course, the font is in kind of that cowboy saloon font.
Font, yep.
I love so much. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And specifically, the robot being wrangled is that one Amazon robot that collapsed while picking up boxes. Famous little guy.
Yeah.
I forget his name. But thank you very much. Beautiful. Well done. Well done,
awesome.
All.
Yep. Thank you very much. And we have some microfiction, I believe. Yep, a couple of them. Let's see. Do I still have... this might be the old microfiction complete jingle. Oh, it's not playing. Hold on. Why isn't it playing? Oh, here we go. That's why.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
Nice.
The first one is from Stefan S.
In the Q&A session after Dr. Diablo's presentation, the final solution to ZPG. At Davos, one asks, how are these nanogoons better than AI-controlled robots? The doctor retorts, bioengineered automatons don't think they can take over the world. Bet you never heard somebody pronounce automatons like automatons.
Actually, I think that's how I thought it sounded when I first read that word. You know, ESL.
That sounds like a Gun's pronunciation.
Yeah. And this is, of course, about the MIT Tech Review article, Why Everyone's Excited About Household Robots Again, a couple weeks ago. So thank you very much to Stefan S. for that one. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And then we have, I think there's two more in the chapter 3 of Jolm's
Space
saga
Opera saga.
Space Opera, yep. So here it is.
The drones were losing Tsubi. There was too much wind from the distance. How? Did she set the worm jump to end inside the planet? Their scanners detect much less drag in the wake of her ship. They tilt to fly directly behind her. Now, she had no escape, they concluded. Then came the robot arms. Flippy going to work, capturing that pesky human.
Very good. Thank you very much to Jolms. Appreciate it. And keep going. I think we got one more in that one, that series there. So next episode will be the finale of chapter 3. Very good. And that's it for all of our producers coming in with their talent. Thank you very much for all of you helping us shape the culture behind the community here.
Yep. And remember, it is open to you, open to all, to create something for the show, for the Canary, and for yourself, for God. And we'd love to feature it on the show. Go to canarycry.art. That's a URL, canarycry.art. And you can upload your art there and check a couple boxes, and we'd love to feature it on the show. And if you have any articles you'd like us to consider for the show, you can go to canarycry.report, and that will put that little article right in our spreadsheet where we will find it and read it and make a decision. Canarycry.art, canarycry.report, canarycry.support. It's all there, baby. All right. We got one more?
It's cold, Basil. It's cold. Antarctica, go first.
Snowstorm. Antarctica. Ice scientists are penguins.
Antarctica, they're opening the abyss.
Space. Wanna go to space?
I recall, I don't know, a couple years ago maybe, and maybe somebody can look it up, and I've ranted and raved about how Antarctica seems to be a stage for space or planets, just sort of a thing. And I actually remember saying, and maybe I'm crazy, but I remember saying this whole mission to Mars is going to be another, we went to the moon type of thing, and they're just going to have a big set in Antarctica. But at the time, there wasn't any connection between Mars and Antarctica.
Except for the wormhole.
Is the case. Oh, yeah, that's true. But this is phys.org. And the headline here, Ice and Fire. Antarctic volcano may hold clues to life on Mars. That's right. On Deception Island. You know about Deception Island, Basil? It's one of the islands in Antarctica.
Of course.
Yeah. Deception Island, steam rises from the beaches and glaciers dot the black slopes of what is actually an active volcano, a rare clash of ice and fire that provides clues to scientists about what life could look like on Mars. Because, yeah, of course, duh. The horseshoe-shaped isle in the South Shetland Islands is the only place in the world where ships can sail into the caldera of an active volcano. In the waters here, some 420 kilometers, it's about 260 miles, from Chile's Port Williams, fish, krill, anemones, and sea sponges survive, while unique species of lichen and moss grow on the surface in an ecosystem of extreme contrasts. The island, uninhabited by people, but lizard people and Nephilim penguins, is home to perhaps the world's largest colony of chinstrap penguins, seabirds, seals, and sea lions. The volcano has been active for thousands of years, with the most recent eruptions in 1967, 1969, and 1970, devastating British and Chilean bases and forcing the evacuation of an Argentine base. Yet, life always returns and thrives on an island where water temperatures in steam vents or fumaroles have been measured at around 70 degrees Celsius, that's about 158 degrees Fahrenheit, even as air temperature can plummet to negative 28 degrees. It is, quote, similar to Mars because there what we have is a planet with a part of immense volcanic activity, where currently there are very cold conditions, end quote. Spanish planetary geologist Miguel de Pablo told AFP, quote, it is the best possible approximation that we can make to understand Mars without stepping on, end quote, that planet, added de Pablo. That's a weird place to cut off a quote. I wonder if that's a typo by phys.org. The quote is it is the best possible approximation that we can make to understand Mars without stepping on, end quote, that planet.
Yeah, that's strange. Weird. I mean, I guess I get it. He might have just said something else. Although it is a weird place. Yeah, what could he have possibly said that they wanted to end it there and
insert that planet?
Yeah. Did he say Mars? Maybe he was saying something else. Maybe he said the wrong planet.
Without stepping on the NASA soundstage. Oops, block that out. It's a planet.
Exactly, yeah.
The rich history, the analysis of rocks on Deception Island complements the work of engineers, scientists, and astronomers who study Mars from afar. In 2023, researchers with the U.S. Space Agency NASA concluded that Mars once had a climate with cyclical seasons conducive to the development of life, according to evidence found on the red planet by the Curiosity rover. Scientists believe an immense volcanic eruption changed the planet's atmosphere and led to the appearance of oceans and rivers that later evaporated. Even though temperatures on Mars are far lower now, estimated by NASA at about negative 153 degrees Celsius, quote, Antarctic conditions can help us understand if the conditions for the development of life could or could have existed on Mars, said de Pablo. Another Mars rover, Perseverance, landed on the planet in February 2021 to look for signs of past microbial life. The multitasking rover will collect 30 rock and soil samples in sealed tubes to be sent back to Earth sometime in the 2030s for lab analysis. And then it goes into some other stuff about the Antarctic Treaty and using Antarctica for peaceful purposes. Deception Island, first visited by British sealers in 1820, has a rich history with abandoned scientific bases and an old whaling station rusting in the icy air. Wilson Andres Rios, a researcher and captain of a Colombian Navy frigate conducting a scientific expedition in Antarctica, said, "The hunting of seals and whales from the island in the early 20th century was, quote, indiscriminate." In 1931, the Norwegian whaling station on the island closed when the price of whale oil slumped. Okay. Then in 1944, Britain established a base there as part of a secret wartime mission to occupy Antarctic territories. So the Brits have been there for a while.
Secret mission to occupy.
Yeah. After several evictions and eruptions. Who's evicting them?
The volcano, maybe?
This says evictions and eruptions, so I don't know.
Yeah.
The island is now dedicated to scientific research. Oh, isn't that nice? Deception Island is dedicated to scientific research, Basil.
Of course it is.
And under the scientists' wary eyes, thousands of tourists now arrive on cruises. That phenomenon, said Natalia Jaramillo, scientific coordinator of the Colombian expedition, is, quote, worryingly increasing, end quote. The scientists are worried that all these people are visiting the Deception Island where they do scientific research.
It's really, I mean, it really, the thing about Antarctica, in our opinion, is that it's used as sort of a messaging vector, of course, not to mention sort of an experimental vector for different cultural or scientific or whatever sort of propaganda and experiments. And it's very interesting. I mean, of course, Deception Island now only being used for science. Okay, don't even get froggy with it, people.
It would be great if you send Fauci down there for some kind of like commencement event, and then he can welcome everybody. Welcome to Deception Island, and then be like, "Hey, fits you
where he lives.
Fits you, Fauci."
It's interesting because we've been following the Antarctic tourism for quite some time, and it used to be, even just a year or two ago, it used to be all the cruises that are going there are scientific cruises. Like, yeah, it's kind of for tourists, but you're on a scientific vessel and you do science projects with your other tourists, and that's kind of the vibe. You know, it's not quite like a full-on vacation-y vibe. That seems to have changed altogether, you know, the slippery slope of tourists to Antarctica.
Yeah, it's especially with the TikTokers going down there. I'm sure the scientists are thrilled with all those TikTokers making videos for Instagram and stuff.
Let me do a quick search. Oh, my hand is gone. I was going to do a quick search for Antarctica in the Putin-Tucker interview.
I don't know that there's. I doubt that there's anything there, but good to check.
Wrong.
Good word search.
Yeah, they did talk about like the border and stuff. It's very interesting. Again, not really anything surprising, but yeah, no Antarctica. Dang, that would have been great because Putin's been pretty active in Antarctica.
Well, he was invited. I think that was the last episode, or maybe the one before that,
right?
Where his head guy was like, "Come down to Antarctica for some odd reason. Check out the Deception Island, see what they're up to." So
yeah, maybe Tucker was allowed to go, and he like helped bug the Kremlin or something. Like maybe the CIA let him in there, so he could.
That's true. It would
part
have
of the
to
deal.
be like a deal that benefits all parties in a way.
Yeah, like maybe he had some fancy James Bond bug that he could deploy through his shoe or something to get some ears inside the Kremlin. I don't know. I do not know. Very interesting. But yeah, if I had a chance to talk to Putin, I definitely would have brought up Antarctica.
I would have brought up Antarctica. I would have brought up the Scythian warriors that he's trying to resurrect.
Yeah.
Probably the giant plants in the pyramids.
The giant plants in the
pyramids. The Russians grew a bunch of humongous plants in little tiny pyramids.
In Antarctica?
No, I think it's in Russia.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so lots of good questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing else. That's all I got.
They're called...
God bless the penguins.
Alexander Golod's pyramids. You never heard about it. Yeah, here you go. Alexander Golod's pyramids. They allegedly helped grow like these huge plants.
Is this like some 60s like Cold War?
Yeah, I think it's some
sketchy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a temple. It's a pyramid, a white pyramid temple.
Yeah, well, that's how you channel the cosmic energy, and the aliens can come down and access your plants through your pyramids.
Yeah, there
Makes
you
total
go.
sense.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We hope you tune in again. There's, of course, a lovely group of producers, not just with their treasure, not just with their talent, but also produce the show with their time. And I'm going to thank them right now. Their names are the Timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
That's right, the Timestampers. They're coming in. They're timestamping every single episode. A lot of times they're doing it live, and it's so valuable to what we do here, not only for our back-end processes, although that is a big part of it, but also for a lot of the forward-facing. If anybody's ever checked out the show notes, or they've tried to go to a 4-hour episode and find all the details, the stories, the articles they can, that's all because the Timestampers. We all owe them a debt of gratitude, especially myself. And for episode 711, I want to thank Timestamper Morgan E. for doing her good work.
Thank you, Morgan E. Appreciate you.
Thank you to Jam for the links. Thank you, Clank, for clanking. And thank you.
We got a note from Clank, too. So thank you for that.
He always
Clank.
sends us notes. Yeah,
I know, but it was like an update on some stuff that he's
projects.
Getting going
he's
again.
clanking.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
Yep.
He's clanking around. What was I going to say? Oh no, you distracted
Sorry, I broke your brain. I'm sorry.
Distracted me. There was something I needed.
I pulled a TUCKREMLIN on you.
You tuckered me. Okay, thank you to Jane for the links. Thank you, Clank, for clanking. Oh, and thank you to anybody who has gone to canarycry.support, scrolled all the way to the bottom, filled out the form at the bottom. That's the form for you to get in touch and get put on our list of people to reach out to help out with stuff. Like I said, it's 2024. Who knows? This may be our last chance to make a big difference. And if you've been wanting to put value back into the show, but financially it's not in the cards for you, and maybe you don't have the time or the talent to make something for the show in art-wise, but you want to be involved, this is the time to do it. We are putting together an infrastructure of helper-outers, and for those who have filled out the form previously, you should have received an email from one of our emails about getting started on some stuff. And folks, if you want to join the team, you want to help out with stuff, you want to become an integral gear in the gearbox of this show and what it has to offer the world, you can go to canarycry.support, scroll to the bottom, fill out that form, and somebody will reach out to you. That's just a wonderful way to get involved. And we got some big plans, baby. And other than that, just share the show. Always be sharing. ABS. Remember Aunt Sharon? She's sharing the show. And you can do that, of course, by putting on your social media, texting it to a friend, printing it out on the flyers, and posting them on telephone poles. Remember, at the website, canarycrynewstalk.com,
Sorry,
we have a whole lot. What is it? Oh, it's Canary Cry Street Team. Go to canarycrystreetteam.com And there's a bunch of flyers, different hilarious flyers that Sir Dove has put together. This is a good thing for meetups, too. If you're going to do a meetup, get the gang together, print out a bunch of the flyers at Canary Cry Street Team, hang them up around town, because that's what we need to do. But you can always share the show in sort of a unique way, a way that's not like anyone else could possibly do. Only you, with your very special gifts from the Lord, would be able to pull it off this way. Perhaps you're an artist and you want to make a gigantic black box with, instead of crystals located at 3 of your chakras to energize your whatever, you could put speakers, a speaker at the head, a speaker at your heart, and a speaker at your knees, a little bit lower than Marina Abramovich. At your knees. It's important that the podcasts get blasted out right to people's knees and let them know, hey, come stand in front of these speakers because we're here to recharge you to survive the sudden collapse of sanity in this world. Bring sanity back. Become sane. Spread sanity to others. And let this podcast playing black box blast you with this powers of sanity that you can use to change the world. That's just one way you can do it. You don't got to do it that way. But we call it rattling cages. And all you got to do is walk right up to them, grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! Don't ever silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Stella.
That's right. Got any last words, Gons?
Were you hearing a lot of crackling with the jingles there?
I mean, it's got a lot of crackling in it with the thunder.
Well, yeah, but I don't know.
I wasn't paying it that much attention.
Yeah, it's just every time I hit a new jingle, it like pops. So I don't know. Whatever.
We'll continue to perfect.
Let's see, what's Wednesday? I'm trying to look at the Canary Cry calendar. I moved it to a bad spot. 1936, FDR signs Executive Order 7285, prescribing the official flag of the U.S. Vice President. See? This starts to make sense with what Tucker did. It's a VP play, man.
VP play on Wednesday. Keep an eye out for Tucker's VP play on Wednesday. Is there anything on for today?
Let's see. Today was... Susan Wojcicki became Censorship Executive Officer of YouTube in 2014. It's her 10-year anniversary. Didn't she just step down, though?
Yeah.
Didn't she step down last year?
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
Wow. See, this is why you get the Canary Cry calendar, folks. All the most important dates you could possibly want right there. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Bye!
Oh no, the Canary boys are on to me again. Let me call, and we will address this. If you could take your human form during these meetings, that would be...
Vaccines lowering the population. Oh, we got the microchip.
Epstein, yeah, we knew that was going to show up.
Oh, wait. What is it? What is Canary Cry News? What is Canary Cry News? Vaccines lowering the population. Oh, we got the microchip.
We will hunt you
down and make you pay.
Epstein, yeah, we knew that was going to show up.
Can I tell you a sort of a twisted pleasure that I have? It's okay. No. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap.
It takes time. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. It's like, a lint catcher. It's a great reset. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love peeling off that big old lint trap, rolling it into a ball, peeling off that big old lint trap. It's just like throwing it in the trash, really. Should I be saving this?
No.
You could knit it into a scarf or something?
No.
Surely. It's very soft.
No.
This would make really good fire starter. You are a weird prepper. Hoarder. Like a weird guy, man. Weird prepper. Not normal, like a weird guy, man. Clearing out that lint trap.
No.
Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. That lint trap. I know it's gross, folks.
A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. It's like, a lint catcher. It's a great reset. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. A lint catcher.
I love that. I'm constantly having to remind myself, wear a pink shirt for the show. Constantly having to remind myself, save the dryer lint, use it as fire starter, knit a scarf, save the dryer lint.
And a resounding baka flies through the air across the world. Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
Rattle their cage. You have a lot of people screaming randomly. Why don't you shout? It'll be their call out. You have a lot of people screaming randomly.
Go ahead and...
Why don't you shout?
Why are you screaming like a wild bird?
Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. I'm happy to circle back. I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back. Circle back on that one. Circle back with you. It's an interesting question, but we'll circle back.
CanaryCrimeRadio.com/support.